talk. Everybody wanna tell me right, I know. Bunch of fakes all around me, right? They clowning like I ain't hear what it sounding like. I know. These fools hating on the low, smiling all in my face, stab me in the back door.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, hello and welcome back to another great edition of the hottest show in all the globe with me, Jean-Luc Welch. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Welch Report. Make some noise, clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We're back. We're working correctly, and I believe everything that we got set up is primed and ready for an absolutely stacked type of stacked type of show that we got for you today. Because my goodness, talk about a level of just shock and awe that the world of boxing has gone through with all of the rumors circulating or surrounding the one big topic of the month, Tank Davis retiring. Oh yes, it's gonna be a Tank Davis show for the majority because we have so much to break down. You can't just do it in some segments. We got a lot to cover in a short amount of time to do it. So all I can say is buckle up, get your coffee, get your drinks at your job, at your work. Tell your boss to put this on the intercom to let everybody know that this is the hottest show in all the globe, to get everything that you would want from your sports needs and desires. Oh, and by the way, before we even get started, remember, we're available on every podcasting platform imaginable, as well as we are on right here on YouTube. So please, leave a like on the video, comment your thoughts and opinions, subscribe to the channel, and share the show with everybody that you know so we can keep on building up this empire together. And if you want to have something to say to make this as interactive as possible, oh yes indeed, as you can see, we got the chat working, we got the stuff working on the screen. Share your thoughts and opinions, comments, concerns, whatever the case you have, whatever the case you feel on this show, and we will be more inclined to talk about it. Don't get too crazy now in your stuff. We will ignore it outright. Oh yeah, we don't mess around on here, but we do want to have some fun. Do want to have a genuine conversation, and we do want to help elevate the sports world as a whole with this media outlet. Oh yes indeed, trying to make this a global show. It's all thanks to you all and your great support. But with all that out the way, we got a lot to discuss, and let's jump right in to the action. As of right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about Tank Davis. We are going to talk about boxing, and since we are, well, it is time to step into the ring. That's right. Oh yeah. Ring the bell. Let's get it started. Round one of this show going on the way as we real quickly change the camera just a bit. There we go. Want to take up a little more space. Want to take up a little more real estate per se for the viewing and the listening. Well, not the listening public. Y'all can hear me just fine, but you get what I'm saying. But either way, regardless of which, we have to have a conversation. Because if you are unaware, yesterday at the press conference of Lamont Roach versus Tank Davis, we found out that the one of the biggest stars in the boxing world, one of the biggest stars in the world, period, in the sports genre, has now called it quits by the time 2025 ends, and Gervonta Davis is indeed retiring. Oh yes. Oh, it's happening. It's happening. It is it. This is it. In the words of to quote the great Michael Jackson documentary, yeah, this is it. This is indeed it. We are in the last days of one of the hottest stars in the globe in this sport coming through and genuinely, actively making his name and staking his claim in the grand scheme of boxing. But how, in fact, did we get here? What is the purpose? What is the cause to have this happen? What has made this level of all of a sudden shift in dynamic from a man who was indeed talking about how he was going to be the best in the world, talking about how he was the best in the world, talking about how he was a man, this was a man who was indeed looking to be the face of boxing. And all of a sudden now we're looking and saying, he's about gone. He's about out of here. It's a shocking turn of events, understandably, but what exactly led up to this? And that's the question. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Of course, I got mine and I will share, but we're all looking around and saying the landscape of boxing is at a real concern when one of its biggest, I'm not saying this is the equivalent, but you have to understand what to quantify this circumstance in the world of boxing is like akin to, not as big, but akin to when Michael Jordan all of a sudden said, I'm done after winning 3 championships. Now, we understand that Jordan three-peated. We understand that we're not saying that Gervonta is Michael Jordan. in any way, shape, or form. No, would never be that disrespectful. Of course, we talked about, excuse me, of course, we talked about his accomplishments before. Oh, we have some stuff to say. We're going to have some stuff to say here. But when it comes to a big name star, when it comes to a mega superstar in today's game and age in the boxing world, this is the equivalent of, hey, Jordan all of a sudden calling it quits. And it's like, well, you're at the prime of your career. Why would you want to all of a sudden end it? This is where we're at. And so there's a lot of ramifications and ripple effects that come with this decision to next year in this career. Now, with all that being said, I was getting to the actual why. Why in the world is that he said that he would retire? Or why is it that he said that he's going to end his career in the sport? And I truly think it's because it's a multi-layered reason. But one of the biggest reasons may just be the fact that the brother just lost love. What's happened before, we just saw it with Sonny Edwards. Sonny Edwards literally quit on his stool and be like, yeah, I don't want to be here. And with Tank, that may be the same thing. Now, it's crazy to say because when we talk about Tank Davis is somebody that we've always said is, as a talent, one of the best in the world, as the potential, could be a top 3 fighter in any era. Or not in any era, excuse me. He could be a top great fighter in the all-time annals of history. But at the same time, when you lose that love of fighting, when you lose that zeal, when you lose that luster to go and achieve, it makes you essentially, as the sport goes on, it will make you become lax. It will make you fall out. Again, we saw it with Sonny Edwards and we've seen it with others. We talked about it with Teddy Atlas when it comes to when you are done, when you are checked out, well, there's nothing else we can do. There's nothing else you can do. When you're already 1 foot out the door in this world of boxing, you are about gone. Not about, you are gone. It's just a matter of time. Who's going to put you out? That's what we're talking about. And when it comes to Tank, we may be at that, we are at that crossroads. And it's because he just lost love. He said it himself. He wants to go to therapy. He wants to be better for his children. He wants to be able to be there for his kids in the long run. We understand all that. Said it in interviews as well right after the press conference. Clips all around YouTube and Twitter. You can go find them, absolutely. But the point being, looking at this man and saying the fire may be going out. He even said he's scared to go to therapy, though he said that he needs it because if he does, the fire in him will go out and he won't be able to fight like he needs to. He needs that animosity. He needs that rage, that anger, that fear-mongering mentality. The disrespectful nature, all of it is what makes Tank inside of the ring. When you take that away, now we're looking at a situation. Now we're looking at a problem. Now we're looking at a major problem. We're looking at a real dilemma. Excuse me, why did I say it like that? Oh gosh, real dilemma in the world of Tank Davis. Also, it could have been, let's look at the surrounding entourage around him. There wasn't any. Remember that. There wasn't any. When he went to the press conference, went there by himself all alone. We have been hearing rumors. We have been hearing speculation that something in the camp of Tank is not where it needs to be. And when Tank doesn't have the secure amount of personnel around him that's been there with him, that has helped grow and develop him in his walk, in his career, and just building him up as a man. Because again, his coach has been the guy that's been along his side the entirety of his career. That's unmistakable. It's undeniable. That's outright fact. This is a man who, when everything is right, even if it's not right inside his personal home, it was right in the gym, he can do what he needs to do. Now, there's been some dissension. There's been some turmoil. That could be a reason why, look, this is just, it's too much, in the words of Tank. This boxing game is just too much. There's so much that goes into it, both in and outside of the ring. When it comes to training, when it comes to personal relationships, when it comes to being the mega star, there is a lot that carries weight that will burden any average man. It takes something special to be famous and to be great. It takes something even more special to be able to survive that level of fame and greatness. Everybody can't do it. Not because you're not capable, but you aren't as equipped as you need to be. And with Tank, I'm not saying that he's weak. No, I'm not saying that he isn't mentally prepared. Again, he's been one of the biggest stars in the sport, period. But the reason I'm saying this is because he has said in interviews, like an interview with Frank Martin, he said, hey, you can have all this fame stuff. You can have all of this glitz and glamour. When I beat you, quoting him, when I beat you, you can have all this. Do what you want. But for me, I don't want this. I want to go on a private island. You ain't gonna, when my career is done, you ain't gonna hear from me in the slightest. That's what Tank has been saying. That's what Tank has been saying for a good couple years. So when it comes to that level of real, legitimately having fame but not wanting it and understanding all the ins and outs that go on inside the sport that we don't see, that Tank has experienced, that his people have experienced, that people around him have seen, that the outside world can only speculate from an outside perspective. Hey, there may be more than meets the eye as to why all of a sudden the announcement of I'm done is a shock. For him, it may have been building up. Now, again, I am still angry that this is happening. I am still very upset that we're seeing Tank Davis retire. I am still incredibly frustrated that this is the state that his career is in with his retirement. But the point being, this still doesn't negate the fact we still have empathy. We still understand that we've talked about this on the show, the personal life of a boxer and people in general. You never know what somebody's going through. I'm not trying to jump on and harp on and judge and just outright critique and say, oh, I hate Tank. No, I don't hate Tank. Tank's one of my favorite fighters to watch. Tank is indeed, and I've said this countless times, one of the best in the world, has the ability to be the best in the world in the sport of boxing. No doubt about it. But the problem is, now that we're at this stage, we have to be real about what Tank is. And what Tank is right now, it's exactly the question that while he may not want it asked, it's a question that's going to be asked. It's a question that needs to be answered. Like I put inside the title, is Gervonta Davis a Hall of Famer? Is it? Is he? Is he a Hall of Famer? That's really what we're asking. Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he right now genuinely seen as somebody who is worthy of being called one of the greats of all time? And I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Comment in the chat. But the point is, this is for everything that we can say about the reasoning as to what, as to why, as to who, siphon the love, siphon the joy, siphon the drive out of Tank. For all of that we can talk about, that's the question that we need to ask. Is he a Hall of Famer? And the answer, in my opinion, is no. He's not. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not. Gervonta Davis is not a Hall of Famer, and he shouldn't be, because the resume that he has accumulated is not worthy to be able to be seen as that tier of elite company. Not because he himself isn't great, but because he didn't accomplish enough. Like, that's the nature of the beast. He didn't accomplish enough. He didn't. He beat Leo Santa Cruz. He beat Pedraza. He became a champion. He became a two-division champion. Then was given a champion by I believe the IBF. Was it the WBA or the IBF? One of the two. And he defended it against Frank Martin. But his most notable wins are, again, Leo Santa Cruz, Pedraza, Gamboa, if you want to call that an elite win or a quality win, Frank Martin, and then Ryan Garcia. What we now have in context, a weight-drained Ryan Garcia, a broken-ribbed Ryan Garcia. He still won. I'm not taking anything away, but the context surrounding that puts that win into a different frame of perspective. It doesn't diminish it, but it puts it in its right context. All of that shows me that Tank hasn't done nearly what needs to be done in his career to be able to be seen as a Hall of Fame fighter. If you want to be perfectly honest, this is one of the biggest reasons why I don't get why he's not fighting Shakur Stevenson. Because he has been saying, even in the press conference, he was saying that this brother, Shakur, has done nothing. Why am I fighting? Why would I want to fight somebody like Shakur who hasn't done anything in the sport? Him and Keyshawn Davis haven't done anything in the sport. Both of them, in the words of Tank Davis, haven't accomplished anything. They haven't achieved what needs to be achieved to be able to get on my level when it comes to competing and being worthy to step in the ring. That makes no sense when you look at the real framework. Shakur is a 3-division champion. Let's be completely frank. Shakur has already matched what you are doing. He already matched the amount of titles you got in less time. And he's beaten quality names. Jamal Herring, Oscar at that point in time was a top fighter. He beat Oscar Valdez, who is going to be a Hall of Famer, who has been legitimately somebody who is really, and to this day, is still competing. Remember, he's fighting Navarrete. He knocked out Chocolatito to become a champion, and he was knockout of the year in my estimation. The brother is elite, and he beat him, schooled him, outboxed him. He knocked out Yoshino. He moved up, and outboxed everybody. He's had some bad performances. De Los Santos, I understand. Horrible fight, absolutely horrible. But that doesn't change. Truly, that does not change what the problem is now. When it comes to Shakur and his career versus Tank's career, they're not as far apart as you may think, though we know Tank is a better fighter. What we have to understand is Tank, even now, is somebody who, while he is indeed great, while he is indeed phenomenal, he hasn't done what needs to be done to not only encapsulate him in the Hall of Fame, but in now current times, the brother is not doing what needs to be done to separate himself and to be able to say, you got to earn a spot to be able to fight me. He hasn't. That's just the truth. He hasn't. And because he hasn't, like, what are we doing vouching for Tank to say, I'm above you in terms of the level of competition I face versus you face, my career versus your career, you don't get to fight me. That makes no sense. If anything, if you fought Shakur, that would help your case to be able to say, yeah, there's a certain threshold you got to reach. Not just in the money-making department, but in the achievement department. And with Tank, he hasn't reached it. I don't care how you feel about it. And I view Tank as one of the best in the world and legitimately one of the biggest stars in the sport. But he, in terms of his accomplishments, you cannot say that somebody ain't done nothing. When we look at your plate and we look at his plate, and you may have more flash on your plate, but substance on somebody else's plate is at best matching you or at worst beating you outright. And it makes no sense. None whatsoever. I do not, and I don't understand it. Truly, I do not understand why that's the case. And he can change this, but he won't. But again, Alex, brother, how you doing? Great for you joining in on the show. Appreciate you coming in on the hottest show in the globe. Glad you're back on the channel. Hopefully I'm helping you learn some things about boxing and the other sports. I know you a soccer fan and you football fanatics. Topman, I'm sorry. Y'all still suck. I'm just kidding. I'm just messing. But look, appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you joining in on the show. Hopefully you shared and liked already so we can get the stream out to the masses of the people. Oh, we got 7 people in the stream already. We are making progress. I still don't know why my thing is working. It's only pulling up this message and ain't pulling up any of the other message that you all are sending. We're going to get it fixed. Trust and believe. Or I'm going to figure this out. So one way or another, I'm going to figure this out, what's going on. But anyway, Mike Golden, brother, thank you. If this is your first time or if you've been here before, appreciate you joining in on the show. We are live on the hottest show in all the globe, talking boxing, basketball, and so much more. But today, strictly sticking with the shocking announcement of Gervonta Tank Davis retiring. Glad you came in. Hopefully you left a like. And let's see what you got to say. Tank's career is not over, though. He's not fighting the other fighters because of one, Lomachenko duck, okay? 2, Shakur was offered a 1-fight deal with Tank and wanted to get a multi-fight deal. Yeah, understandable. And then also, man, the Shakur fight is going to happen, bro. These fights are going to happen. Tank's career is not over. Let's just wait and see. Now, here's the thing. Tank's career is not over. Well, I completely understand that. In fact, that's a great segue for the next segment in this show. Tank's career is not over. You are absolutely right. I am not. Again, we are talking because it's winding down quicker than many people expected, but on about the same timeline that I told you all that it was going to happen for about a year and a half. When I kept bringing up examples that Tank said he doesn't want to be in the sport long. He's already in his, 32, 33? He's in his prime, but he doesn't want to fight up until he's at the end of his prime. He wants to end it as quickly as possible, essentially. I've been saying that. But when it comes to taking his career, it's not over. He's still got a year. He said that he wants to fight 3 times in 2025, with the Lamont Roach fight being one of them. So essentially, after Lamont Roach, he's got 2 more, and then he's wrapping up. Now, with that being the case, understand that now, when it comes to Tank Davis and the next fights that he has, the 2 fights he has left in his career, per his words, after Lamont Roach, with Lamont Roach making the 3 fights next year in total, we are looking at this man and saying, what are you going to do now? Like I said in the last show, what is the excuse now? The whole problem that we've had with Tank is that you, as the biggest star, are able to make whatever fight you want. You have the money, you have the A side, and you got every other reputable challenge literally looking for you. Not you looking for somebody else on the other way around. And now, with you and your talent, as we all believe, you have the ability to beat anybody. We wholeheartedly believe that. Wholeheartedly believe that. And when it comes to Tank versus Shakur versus Tio, what's the excuse now? What is the excuse? And if we're being completely honest, there is no excuse. At this point, if you really want to be about the hit list, we're still going to bring that up, because I don't care if your career is about to end or not. You said who you wanted to fight about 2 or 3 years ago. You said Tank said he wanted Tio, Shakur, Devin Haney, Lomachenko. You said you wanted those names. Now you've reiterated, and this after the press conference, you want Teofimo Lopez. And you're going to call out somebody after the fight if you win. Though we think you're going to win everything, nothing's guaranteed. And we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that with nothing's guaranteed. But when it comes to Tank, he's got the ability to fight anybody, and he can. But he hasn't made those fights. And all of a sudden now we are saying, look, are you going to do it or not? This isn't saying that we don't think he can win. We're saying make the fights happen. Do what you're supposed to do that we know you can do. It would be different if you were moving up 8 weight classes and all of a sudden, like, hey, hold on, slow your roll. Like, it would be different if we were talking about Terrence Crawford versus Canelo, brother, moving up from 140 or 154 to 168. It's different from that when we're saying, hey, hold on now. You might want to ease up a little bit before you go and fight somebody that big relative to your size. Though we know the talent is there, that may be something too much for your body to handle. Slow it. You don't need to fight him right now. That's different from what we're saying with Tank. Now that he's going to fight, there is no excuse. And the problem is, if he doesn't make those fights, if he doesn't make those fights, there is going to be no respect for him. Because it's different. Okay, you still got some ways to grow. You're still making your career. But if you go and you don't make those fights happen, specifically if you don't fight Tio, and if you don't fight Shakur or Devin Haney, there's going to be no respect. You're already not a Hall of Famer, but we're not going to call you anything if you don't fight these quality people. And if we see that this man, after the Lamont Roach fight, if he wins, calls out some other schmuck in terms of relative to his competition, nowhere close to the talent that he's supposed to be. If he doesn't move up to 140, if he doesn't try to fight Shakur at 135, I'm like, well, shoot. What the world? What in the world? And when it comes to the Shakur fight, honestly, I don't know if that's going to happen either. Genuinely, I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if that's going to happen with the Shakur fight, because I see him. And again, this is all speculation. It is. We're all speculating because of the shock of everything. But what I can put, the pieces I've been putting together, what I can see happening, he beats Lamont Roach. He goes and most likely calls out either Lomachenko or Tio. Now, if he does that, great. We'll see if the fight goes on. And then after that, he'll go and fight. Probably, if he doesn't fight Tio, or if he gets Tio, fights him, then he'll probably try to get Loma out of retirement one more time. If he's not retired, but right now we ain't heard from him in a minute. And it may be fight Shakur, but Shakur may be the last option. And it's because of the fact that we're talking about money. And Shakur and Tank, as much as we may see fans say that, yeah, we want it, absolutely, and we do. Tank may see it as, if I'm going to take these big fights, I need big fights that I know I'm going to be able to draw. And I'm going to be able to get a whole bunch of money out of it. So I can go into my own island with everything intact. Because the whole of this is the fact that Tank has been operating in the vein of money. And also, Jay Will, what's up, brother? How you doing? Appreciate you joining in on the show. Again, normally I'd pull up chats, but right now, this is the only chat that's being pulled up, which is a shame. And everything that you all are saying, I want to pull up on the screen, but I ain't pulling up outside of this one. I don't know what's going on. But either way, we're talking about Tank and his Hall of Fame status and just the reaction to him retiring as a whole. I want to hear your thoughts as well. But right now, answering Mike Golden's question, Tank will most likely fight or call out Teofimo Lopez or Lomachenko. I don't know if he'll call out Shakur because I don't think he sees Shakur as a big enough draw. Not because the fans have been saying, hey, we still want the fight, and we do. But he has been, and always, maybe will be for the rest of his career, about the money in his career. And what we've seen that do for his career has made the statements of Tank is not a Hall of Famer the very thing that we're talking about right now. That very sentiment is going to be the reason why. Because there's been so much hype for so many other fights that we have been saying that Tank should have been taken, that Tank should have had right now, that could have set up for other bigger events. You understand it. Everybody understands it. The amount of time it's taken for some of these fights to happen and transpire is ludicrous. The fact that right now, at the end of his career, now all of a sudden we're getting hope that, hey, we might finally get the stuff that we want to see. But we have been saying this has been possible for over 3 years. It's like it's feeling like false hope. Because let's be real. Let's be completely honest. Everything that Tank has been saying about what he wants to do in his career has been, to a degree, a lie. It has. Because everything that he has said he wants to achieve, he has not achieved. He said he wants to be the face of the sport, but he never fought like it. He said he wanted to fight people like Tio, people like Lomachenko, yet he didn't do it, even when he got out from under the shadow of Floyd Mayweather, who legitimately held him back from that fight when he became his own man, when he became his own controller of destiny, when he was under Leonard Ellaby, but he was still, Tank is the star. Not Floyd being the overarching fatherly figure that was teaching you the game and also guiding your career. Now, you are the only man that has the ability to, you can make all these decisions on your own, and you didn't do anything. Outside of the Ryan Garcia fight, you didn't do anything that made you separate yourself from the rest of the pack. And again, what's it? Fight Buzz. Brother, you are absolutely right. And again, I wish I could post it on the thing, but Fight Buzz. Devin Haney became undisputed before you in a division that you should have been able to sweep. The fact that he got an opportunity to fight Kambosos before you, I don't understand. There's many fights that it was like, okay, the dominoes are falling. It makes all the sense in the world to go after Tank. Or Tank get in the ring now, start calling these people out. Get it going. You got an opportunity to be undisputed right now. You could have called out Devin Haney when he was trying to move up to 140. Kept him at 135 because that's too much money to lose. It is. That's too much money to lose. You could have won it after him after he moved up to 140 and beat Regis Prograis and then looked like a world killer. Now, oh shoot, his stock was as high as ever. Everybody wanted to see that fight now. Everybody was saying, this is it. We're gonna get it. Devin Haney looks big. Devin Haney looks strong. Devin Haney looks like at this weight, he's got the ability to actually make some noise against somebody like Tank Davis. Now, former undisputed champion versus one of the hottest talents in the world, let's make it happen. Yet it didn't happen. Everything that you said that you wanted to be has been a lie because of how you have moved in your career. And Jay Will, you're absolutely right. If Tank is a Hall of Famer, Sean Porter should be a Hall of Famer. Sean Porter should be a Hall of Famer. Sean Porter is a two-division champion. Excuse me. Sean Porter, I believe, is a 2 or 3 division champion who fought Spence and Crawford and gave them both the fight of their careers. The only losses he's had were to those two. He ran through everybody else. And so it was like, and if it wasn't for his father, most likely he would be still fighting. Genuine. If it wasn't for his father, because you couldn't tell me after the performance that he put up against Terrence Crawford, you could not tell me that after that performance, he would not want to fight. You wouldn't pick him against most of the other fighters at 147. You couldn't tell me. That brother went to war with two of the best of that time and gave them both the fight of their life, was beating Terrence Crawford before he ultimately got knocked out, and then was on, at least on track with fighting Errol Spence Jr. to an incredibly close decision. That should be a Hall of Famer. That brother didn't duck no smoke. Literally fought everybody. I do mean everybody. And again, this is not me trying to hate on somebody like Tank, but when you look at and this is, again, if y'all weren't here, Mike Golden, you might have been here, you might have been not, but we talked about the standard of greatness when it comes to the world of boxing and what this show is trying to be. This show is trying to be something that that helps level what the standard of greatness is that needs to be achieved to reach a threshold of a Hall of Fame status career or a career that should be viewed as an all-time great career. Because if everything is skewed to a point, and if narratives and whatever the case may be are told in the wrong way, if the story of the sport is told the wrong way, this will lead to the sport as a whole becoming diluted in what true greatness is represented as. And when that happens, now everybody is worse for it. Everybody's worse for it. If everybody is viewing the level of greatness at a diminished level, and that's the new bar to reach instead of up here where the bar was and should be, now when fighters come in, they move just to reach this lower threshold because that is what is seen as great. And when that happens, everybody that comes in is negatively affected because everybody now isn't looking to achieve what they need to do. And everybody's career gets worse and worse and worse. That's not what you need to have. That's not the way that this sport needs to be. That's why we're hard on Tank. That's why we're hard on every boxer. That's why we are hard, and that's why we have been saying consistently, keep fighters' feet to the fire to make it so that they are forced to go and take on the tests that are needed to be taken. It cannot be that we let stuff slide because when that happens, we get Gervonta Davis's. We get current Canelo Alvarez's. We get current Tyson Fury's. Before Turkey Al-Sheikh threw money at him, it was an offer that he couldn't refuse. Before all of that, it used to be Ali, Foreman, Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, even Jerry Quarry. Everybody in that golden era of heavyweights as well as in the era of Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Tommy Hearns, Roberto Duran. Before that, way back, Henry Armstrong, Joe Louis, Jack Johnson, whatever the case may be. All of them. Even Floyd Mayweather, we can go there too. When he was a pretty boy, he went and achieved and fought everybody. He reached the standard of greatness that allowed for him to be moneyed in. If Tank doesn't do that, and if Canelo isn't doing that now, if Tyson Fury was failing to do that when he didn't fight Usyk in the timely manner, when Usyk agreed to everything that Tyson Fury wanted initially, and he still didn't want to make the fight happen, that is a problem. That diminishes greatness when we hold that up. That's why you will never hear me say that Tank is too big for anybody. You'll never hear me say that he's too small for anybody. You will never, or excuse me. I'll say he's too big for somebody in terms of size-wise. You'll never hear me say he's too small for somebody because we understand what his talent is. But in terms of the greatness aspect and deserving to be in the ring, you will never hear me say that he is too big in business sense or too big in star power for somebody to not be deserving. You will never hear me say that. Because everybody he's saying isn't big enough for him or hasn't done enough for him are all of his immediate peers, are all of his immediate peers and competitors who would indeed validate the very cornerstone and major plot points in his career that would allow us to then say, yes, you are too big for certain people to fight you because they haven't reached a threshold to deserve to fight you. Like with Canelo and Edgar Berlanga. Though Berlanga put up a phenomenal performance relative to what we all expected, understandable, didn't change the fact that the brother, and to this day it still bodes true, he did not deserve to be in the ring with Canelo based on what he had accomplished, which was nothing. We all said that he had accomplished it, and he didn't do anything. He looked terrible in all of his fights, even the good ones that he had won in. He fought the best he ever fought against Canelo, credit to him. But he, up until this point, his talent and his accolades and his rankings, everything was apropos and true to what the sentiment was around him. He didn't deserve to be in the ring with somebody of Canelo's caliber. And that was true. But with Tank, we can't say that because everybody he's saying doesn't deserve to be in the ring with him is on the same level as him. They've all either won more championships, been undisputed, or fought the other peers that you ain't fought yet. So what the world? It's a stupid sentiment that holds you, that makes you and other fans of you view you in a light that isn't supposed to be viewed. Because now you are not what you say you are. But because you're able to dissuade the public, and because, again, volatility sells, you can fake your way to the top. Even if your talent is justifiably should be at the top, if you don't achieve that, all we're saying is, well, shoot. You can't talk. We don't talk about Mike Tyson like we talk about Mike Tyson, just because of his power and how he looked when he fought. Who he fought and what he did to them when he fought them, his direct peers, was something incredible. There's plenty of people that would have been champion if it wasn't for Mike Tyson. Genuinely. And it's like we don't talk about Ali just because, oh, he's Ali. What he did directly against his peers and comparatively to his peers makes us view Ali like Ali. Makes us view Frazier and Foreman like Frazier and Foreman. Even Ken Norton, everybody in that division. Everybody in that time. We viewed them as such because they achieved what deserved that level of perspective. And with Tank, it hasn't been the case. It hasn't been until he understands that, until he gets that, it's never going to be what it needs to be when it comes to what his ability is to be able to reach the heights of elite status and championship and all-time acclaim that he says that he deserves. It's a crying shame, but that's what he is. And again, Jay Will, better case for Hall of Fame, Porter or AB? That's a good question. Most likely for me, Porter. AB, if we're talking about Adrian Broner could have reached that. He was on track to reach it. He was. He indeed was. Even after, I believe, with the Madonna fight, he still could have been evolved and overcame and changed into something and still been a top contender. If we're being completely honest, if he had kept his body and his drive correct, the brother could still today be at least a real contender. Maybe not elite, but at least a gatekeeper who's already paid his dues, done his time, been a multi-time champion, been in the ring with more competition, and could, in my opinion, could have been better, should have been better. But at the wilds of life, the wilds of fame, they mess you up. That's what's happening. And plus, now that he's with Don King, I think that's about over. And he just got beat, knocked down, almost knocked out, or wasn't knocked out completely by Blair the Flair Cobb, if I have that fight correctly. So yeah, I think Sean Porter has the better career because he, outside of outside of Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, he beat everybody else, was a legitimate champion, a multi-time champion, and was always at the heights of his status and legitimate competitive nature. And if it wasn't for those two, we might be saying that Shawn Porter would have been the best in the division. Though he didn't have any knockout power, the brother was a dog, legitimately a dog, that was giving everybody work, regardless of what size or what power they had. And so, yeah, I think Shawn Porter should be the Hall of Famer, in my estimation. But again, you can disagree, and perfectly fine. You can make an argument for AB over Porter, but for me, I got Porter over AB. And see, what do you think about the report that Shakur? Yeah, okay, yeah, I was about to reach that because again, Mike Golden brought that up also. What do I think about the report that Shakur turned down a one-fight deal with Tank Davis? Now, when he was on I believe a Twitter space, is it Twitter or X? I'm gonna call it Twitter because that's what I know it is. When he was on a Twitter call with, I believe his name was Hassan, somebody on Twitter, kind of like an open space for anybody to come and listen to. Somebody pressed him about it. Now, sadly, I couldn't get the quote outright before the show, but he said something along the lines of, I wanted a multi-fight deal that wasn't just a one and done venture, but also something along the lines, I could be wrong. Again, that's why I'm saying reportedly, speculatively. I need to go back and make sure I got that right. But also, if I'm wrong, please correct me. But also something was said about how when the offer that was given to him wasn't the real offer. Now that could have been wrong. Maybe hopefully I didn't get centelled and somebody just messed me up. But we'll say if that's true. I say if because I need to validate it because I haven't gotten the opportunity to before the show. If that's true, they did turn out a one-fight deal with Tank. And if the reasoning was because he wanted a multi-fight deal with Tank or just with the promotion as a whole, it is a problem. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is a problem. If he had an opportunity to fight Tank and didn't. Now, when that offer was given, was it during the injury where he broke his hands before the, is it Cardona fight? If that was the case, then maybe he was just out and just, hey, I can't do anything because I'm legitimately not available. Well, then that's a whole other problem entirely. You send this man an offer only when he's injured, that's a problem. But if it is true that he was sent an offer and was available and didn't take it, well, that's a problem. That's a duck. In all reality, that is indeed a duck. That is indeed a problem. That is indeed an issue. That is indeed something that should not happen. And with Shakur, as much as you said that you want to be in the ring with somebody like that, hey, make it happen. If you got the offer, and if Tank side did indeed send something to you, yeah, that's a problem. Again, I have no dog in the fight. This is an unbiased thing. I'm not trying to just harp on somebody and not give direct ire or vitriol or critique to somebody else who does the same thing that another fighter's doing or another athlete's doing. That is also wrong. If that did happen, that's a duck. That's a problem. If it happened and it was when Shakur was not injured and he was aptly available and didn't take it, now that's a problem. Now, with that being said, Turkish Ally Sheikh is also saying that he wants to make a fight with Shakur and Tank after the fight with Shakur versus Admiral Schofield. Now, if that happens and we see that transpire, now the ball's back in Tank's court. It is. Because again, I got to verify the one fight deal thing. I had to verify that. But let's say hypothetically, next year, Cardona, not Cardona, excuse me, Admiral Schofield, Shakur, they fight against each other. Now, we see them legitimately get it on. We see Shakur win, and then Turkey gives an offer to Gervonta Davis, and Davis doesn't take it, especially if it's an offer that makes sense and is actually, hey, you'll be a fool not to take this fight. Most likely, it will be the most money that Tank gets in his career, that Tank or Shakur get in his career, if you want to look at the business perspective. If that happens, now, the ball's back in his court. If anybody pulls out of that fight for whatever particular reason, now we got a problem. But if they don't, if they don't, and if the result happens where the two finally are on a collision course to collide, and they don't, one of them pulls out, outside of injury, then yeah, that's a problem. That's a bold-faced problem for both Tank or Shakur, whoever does it. But if it is indeed true that Shakur turned down a fight deal with Tank, and because he didn't get a multi-fight deal with him, even though it still would have been the most money that he had made, it would have been an opportunity to show that his mettle and his talent was indeed worth the time to be able to get in the ring and show that he is indeed better than what everybody says that Tank is. And you didn't take it, though you've been talking as much as you've been talking. That is a problem. That's plain and simple. In my estimation. Maybe you have other thoughts, but I think, yeah, a duck is still a duck if it is indeed true that it is a duck. And if that happens, yeah, that's a duck. But on the whole, when we look at Shakur and when we look at Tank in this landscape of 135, 140, the two divisions combined, Tank now, he's got to make a decision to do the thing that will validate his legacy. Because what do we want to have Tank be looked at as somebody who is just a ho-hum individual, somebody who is indeed only a mock great, somebody who was like when we look at NBA players, you remember somebody like a LaMarcus Aldridge, or you remember somebody like Brandon Roy, you remember somebody like Duncan Wise, Desmond Mason, these types of athletes that are great, could have been even greater, but they didn't achieve, hence they don't get put in their proper caliber, or rather they do get put in their proper caliber as time goes on as good people, good stars that didn't reach what they could have been and now are at a certain regulated threshold. That's what it could be. Genuine, that's what it could be. And it's going to be a crying shame when we look at Tank and when we say, you're not there. And like I said in the last episode, this is going to eat Tank alive. It's going to destroy Tank. If at the end of his career, he sees that he's not viewed in the same way that he thought he would be viewed as, just like with Floyd Mayweather, it's going to take a hit on Tank. It really is. I really do believe that it will be. It will take a hit and take a toll on him, that he will not be and achieve the same level of status that he feels he deserves in the boxing landscape, that his talent deservedly should have been put at. And the reason being, Mike, if I'm being completely honest, it isn't just Tank that is at fault. We could also put it potentially to Leonard Ellerbe and his promoter, him and Floyd, but more so Leonard Ellerbe in the tail end of his career. Because as a promoter and negotiator, you could also be in position to help negotiate and put fights together that would fit and elevate your fighter. Indeed. And more often than not, from what I could gather with Leonard Ellerbe, he didn't do that. He didn't. And to a degree, maybe was still trying to protect his fighter with the matchmaking that he was doing. Again, Tank is still at fault because that brother still was capitulating. And that brother has the power, to do what he wants and still opted to do what he did. That's the blame's not going away. But for Ellerbe and the surrounding people around him, hey, where was the matchmaking to put this man in the fights that we all wanted to see? If you are a money guy and you understand what will draw money, why would you not go and make the fights that would make money? If you hear the fans saying that we want to see you fight Teofimo Lopez, we want to see you fight at 140, why was it that you continue to not do that? Especially when the fans were also saying you fought at 140 before. You had already moved up against, at that point in time, one of the bigger heavy hitters at the division. Still a big heavy hitter at the division. Still a champion at the division. Now. And you beat him. You knocked him out. You knocked out the Aztec Warrior in Mario Bars, and now you are still moving back down to essentially in the relative to your talent level and current weight. A little league level competition. It makes no sense that this is who you are and what you're doing. And for Leonard Ellerbe, as a promoter and manager, it makes no sense that this is what you're doing as a promoter, to not listen to what will indeed make you the most money. It makes no sense. And if we're being honest, we talked about that Tank was losing luster, losing love of the game, losing his willingness and want to actively go and make himself, losing want to actually go and better himself, losing want to go and further his career, losing it. But the reason being, maybe just because he lost the drive, because there was nothing to fight for. Genuine. And the more I talk about it, the more it kind of starts percolating in my mind that when we look at Tank and his career, he may have lost the luster because there's nothing to fight for. What is he fighting for? Because he was never fighting for titles. He was never fighting for top aspirations. Never was Tank fighting to be better than somebody, because he always said he was the best at somebody. And so because of that, we're looking at the situation and saying, hey, like, what are you? What are you? Who are you in terms of where is your fire and drive when you have nothing to fight for? When there's nothing to fight for in your career, yes, it's easy to say, look, man, all this work, all this time and effort and energy, it's so much. And there's nothing that looks like a worthwhile light at the end of the tunnel. Because there's no challenges for me to reach you. There's nothing for me to motivate myself. There's nothing for me to get me out of bed and get excited about looking at a next test, another challenge. Because everybody I've been fighting, for the most part, has been, I know I'm going to win. I know he doesn't belong in the ring with me from a talent perspective or from a legacy perspective. So there's no point. It's like hamming it in, hamming it up. We've seen this with other fighters in the past. It's a problem. It makes it difficult. And if you're doing that on multiple occasions, even if you say that you are indeed the best of the best, if you don't do it, at some point in time, you'll look at your own words and then you'll look at your actions and you'll be saying, man, everybody I fought ain't really on my level. Who else is there for me to face? But you ignore the people that are supposed to be on your level because you say, well, they're not worth the time, even though they are worth the time. So the very motivation you're putting in front of yourself isn't the best motivation. Hence, you are ripping out your own drive to succeed at a sport that we know you can do so much in. Because you yourself are separating yourself from the challenges that need to be done. Because as we said earlier, you're separating yourself from the pack, when in actuality, the pack is right on your tail. If anything, you're in the pack. You're not above the pack. From an accomplishment perspective, you're not. Like, you're just not. You can be at the top, but you ain't above the pack. But if you don't recognize that and push for that, that's a problem. That's a problem. And Yoda, brother, or Yoda, whatever, however you say your name, I believe I'm saying it right. Is it Yoda or I'll say Yoda. The two A's, vowels, and then two vowels together. You gotta capitalize. Yeah, I remember. I took English. I took English. I remember. I know my grammar, but even still, what champion has Tank fought at 135? Now, I don't think it's much, if any at all. Genuinely. Again, he became a champion. He did. He did become a champion. And he was indeed, because he was same way that Devin Haney got the title when he first became on his road to undisputed. It was given to him by the commission. He didn't win it inside the ring. But relative to that, Hector Garcia, I think, became a champion, or was a former champion, but that wasn't anything special and of real great note, because we understood what he was. Not really a real competitive nature. So, no, he hasn't fought anybody. He hasn't fought the best of the best. So to call him the best of the best makes you, you're contradicting. You are. Because it's not just the talent that makes you special. That's not what makes you be viewed as above and beyond what the world is in whatever field that you do. It's how you go about accomplishing. Even the people that try to go and lose, they get viewed at with a lot of respect, and to a degree more than maybe even Tank, because of what they attempted to do. You see, here's the thing. Here's the thing in boxing. In boxing, it's never just about the wins. Boxing has muddied the minds of people now. The Floyd Mayweather era has muddied the minds of people now to make them think that the win is all that matters. While in the UFC, Pride, and other fighting promotions, the wins isn't what matters the most. It's the fights that matter the most. You can be an all-time great. Jose Aldo is still regarded as one of the greatest in history. Well, I believe featherweight, arguably the greatest featherweight that they have in UFC history. Demetrius Johnson should be seen as one of the greatest in the history of the sport, regardless of pound for pound. Might be number one. But because he was undefeated, went to another promotion, lost, came back, knocked the brother out in the same way with a flying knee that on the ground, which for him normally was illegal. Then when he went over, it wasn't illegal. Now, still went and dominated. He should be the best in the world. Was 11 years undefeated? Never lost in the UFC, has been blackballed from the UFC history books. He should be number one. And then other people hey, even if you're not number one, you still are viewed as an incredible asset to the sport and get mad respect. Quentin Rampage Jackson lost. People still love him. People still love that brother. Chuck Liddell lost. Ortiz lost. And they get love. All the love. Past, present, and future greats. They get love. The Korean Zombie, brother never won a title. Still one of the most beloved and regarded figures in the world of the UFC, in MMA, in mixed martial arts, because that brother he every fight, and he didn't care who he fought, and he fought everybody. He did not mince words, not just in how he felt, but also in how he fought. He went in to die or kill you. And whatever the case may be, I'm still coming out of G. That's what Nick Diaz did. His brother Nick Diaz, same thing. Like there's so many people that are seen as a great in the sport, and that you can lose and still be great. Alexander Volkanovski lost to Islam Makhachev twice. One controversial, second one by knockout, and still the brother is seen as an incredible athlete, still one of the greatest in the history of the sport. Like, it's muddied how fans see losses, because the loss is now end all be all. You lose 2, you might as well out the door. 3, get out my face. Unless you were already a multi-million-dollar box office attraction, like somebody like an Anthony Joshua, you're done. You're done. I'm serious. You're done. Normally, in normal circumstances, you are done. Finito. There's nothing else to say. Nothing else to say. And that's a problem. That is a problem. Because it makes it so that people want to protect the record so much instead of taking the test and taking the chance to lose, to evolve, and come back and win. Because you can still lose and be one of the best in the sport, best in the world, one of the bigger threats in the division. And it just adds to more intrigue. Hey, this brother's lost against ... but has improved against ... and now is a new fighter. But you don't give that redemption. You don't give that level of continued support and genuine attachment to the fighter when you already put a loss as you are over in your career. And this isn't like when I said that Errol Spence Jr. potentially should retire from boxing due to the fact that I don't know if he will be the same. This isn't that type of rhetoric because of the beating and the punishment he'd taken over the years, with him being a come-forward fighter that was willing to brawl, though we knew the talent that he was at this point in time with how long he's been out the ring and how much we have been anticipating his return. And he should have returned by now and still hasn't, though he's right now looking to fight with Fundora. There's a legitimate question to say, is it time to retire? Based on what we see in that Fundora fight. Because of what we saw, not just in the Spence fight, but how you reacted afterwards. That's the problem. But this isn't that. Losses aren't that. That's context surrounding it, but on the whole, man loses, you should be willing to say, let me see you get back out there again. 20-0, 20-1, now, hey, let's see what you got. Let's see how you improve and evolve. That's why I'm still high on Tim Sue. That's why I'm still high on people like Sean Porter. I wish he didn't retire. I'm still high on people that have losses because it doesn't mean that they are done. It means that you got beat. The one man is better, but that doesn't mean that you can't reach that same heights. Lo and behold, what we're talking about, the very redemption story of Daniel Dubois. And look at what happens now. Look at what happened when Daniel Dubois did not give up and continued to fight and continued to put himself in line to achieve. He went and now he's a champion. Beat a man that we said he would never be able to beat in Anthony Joshua. Evolved into a man that could beat and destroy Anthony Joshua. If he had just said, we had all just written, if he went with the rhetoric that we were saying and we wrote him off entirely after his second loss, never mind his third loss when he lost to Usyk, this would have never happened. He would have been nothing. But because he kept on looking to make himself better and didn't let losses, not just one loss, but losses, define what he was, he evolved into the best version of Daniel Dubois. And now this man is a world beater. Now we want to see this brother go against Usyk again. We want to see this brother go and fight people like Zhang. We want to see him go against fight people like Bacoli. We want to see him go against people like even a Tyson Fury. He's in that top 3 conversation now. And so it's, gosh, man. People that can be better. People that can be better. That we don't give the opportunity to be better. We rob us and we rob them of what this sport is about, which is the ultimate mirror to what life is. And Teddy Atlas has said this. Life is about you getting up. Life is about you making yourself better. Life is about you taking on challenges that are bigger than you may even expect it or too insurmountable for you to even think you can achieve. And then you go out and you attempt to do it. And you fail. And then you attempt it again. And then you fail. And then you finally succeed. Or you succeed outright. And then you'll be like, oh, shoot, I'm bigger than what I thought I was capable of. And now another trek to greatness awaits you. All of this is what comes around when you willingly put yourself in danger to fail. And people around you say, it's okay if you fail, get up and try again. That is what boxing is a mirror of when it comes to life. And we, with boxing, are saying that it doesn't matter. Because if you don't succeed the first time, you mean nothing. And that's a problem. That's a problem. If fans got rid of that, we would love this sport so much more. This sport would look completely different. For the better. Because everybody would be wanting to take risks. Because they would get love for taking risk. They would get love for coming back. They would get love for people wanting to see you improve. Instead of just writing you off immediately. If it was like that, it would be leagues better. Leagues better. But sadly, it's not how the sport goes. That's what we're trying to do, help change it. And for sports as a whole, help change it. But we got comments outside of the whole diatribe. Yeah, I don't think Tank has a say in who he fights, and that's why he's retiring. Well, Yoda, I don't think that's true because he has claimed that he's got the same power as Canelo. Now, Canelo can call out whoever the word he wants to call out. We understand it. Tank is still one of the biggest stars in the sport, specifically here in America. That's undeniable. That's undeniable. Here in the States, he can do whatever he wants. Just about. He's got the ability to make whatever fight that he wants to make. He does. Because again, under Floyd, you had that argument. Under Ellaby, though, there's no reason that you couldn't say that he could go and make whatever moves that he wants to. Ellaby has said that Tank makes moves that he wants to. So like, from the horse's mouth, Tank does what he wants. And because of that, him not doing anything, is the very reason why we're having this conversation of him not doing anything. If Tank made noise about what he wanted to do, and then his promoter didn't do it, that's a problem. And we've seen other boxers go at their promoters. Ryan Garcia with Oscar De La Hoya. Some fighters with Al Heyman. We've seen it. So it's not like he couldn't say and put his promoter on blast, yo, what are you doing? Give me the fights I want to see. Give me the fights that I want to have. Dave Benavidez did it with his trainers and promoters. He went to Suleiman specifically. His team went to Suleiman specifically in a press conference and pressed him directly. Yo, give me the fight with Canelo. So it's like we know he can do this. And he just said he's calling out his opponent next fight. So because of that, there's no reason that you can't say that he doesn't have anything to do in his career. He's got every right and every opportunity to make whatever move that he wants, both by his words and his team words. His words and his team's words and his promoter's words. Everybody says that Tank does what he wants. Tank has said that I fight who I want to fight. And if you ain't big enough, you ain't getting in the ring with me. So because of that, and because we've seen other fighters like Inoue, who is globally seen as pound for pound top 3 in the world, if Inoue can make a fight with 1 through 5 in both 118, 120, and 122, there is no excuse for Tank, who's got all the power in the States here, to be able to fight most of the best boxers at 135 and 140 at the drop of a hat, because he's got more money than just about anybody else in the sport in terms of movement-wise. He is a businessman. And he himself is a businessman. Like, he's got all the pull to make whatever decision that he wants. There is nothing holding him back. He has all the power, genuinely, to do anything that he wants to do, because he literally holds all the cards from a money standpoint. He gets the bulk of whatever split that would be going through. He gets to negotiate what happens in the fight, weight drain clauses, rehydration clauses, all of that. He can control that. Because he's got that level of status and star power. That's undeniable. That is not a negotiable thing. Since that's the case, we have to say, if you have all that control, why are you not using it correctly? Why are you not going out of your way and using it properly? If you don't, or if you do, why is it that you misuse it? Excuse me. Let me rephrase it. I said that wrong. If you have that power, why is it that you continually misuse it constantly by not taking advantage of that very power to put yourself in the fights that, one, you know will make money, and two, you know will elevate you if you win to make more money? Because do you know why Inoue is so much beloved and lauded? Because the brother is indeed top 3, if not in my opinion, the best talent in the world, and his resume and accolades and achievements have made it so that we can't question this man. We can't question him. The only thing we can say is I'll give my money to watch you fight, because there's nothing else than me to question about what you're doing, about you. If I can name, if all of your if you are, what is he, 25-0, if 22 of your fights are all against champions, current or former, and then you go and knock every one of them out, and it's a legitimate, it's a legitimate situation where we are looking at Inoue, and it has been literally from the top down. He's fought at the competition at 118, 120, and 122. And by top down, I mean he beat the best at the division first and then worked his way down and then moved on, beat the best at the next division first and then moved down and then did it again 3 times in a row. Like, what else is there to say? 2-time undisputed within a year. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? That's the type of stuff that Tank could do at the drop of a hat. And there wouldn't be anything else to say. Roy Jones Jr. did it. But it's like, everybody who's done it. See, here's the thing. And I'm going to get to your comments. Absolutely. But the last thing, when it comes to Tank, is we are looking at counterparts in other divisions that don't have nearly as much power and stardom as him, that are doing the very things, both in the past and in the present, that Tank is not doing. And that's what irks me so. Even Roy Jones Jr. admitted that the brother was to a degree, protecting his record, though he was incredible. and didn't need to. But when he got that disqualification loss and was no longer undefeated, even though he was beating the brother to Kingdom Come, and the brother, again, it was an accidental hit on the ground, but he sold it, now, lost. After that point, that's what made him go and try to conquer divisions all the way up from middleweight to heavyweight. Once that happened, okay, I'm done. I'm the biggest star. Now I'm chasing legacy, and I'm using everything I got to be able to get me to that threshold of all-time status. Doing something that ain't been done in, 50 or 80 years, whatever the record was. Going from middleweight to heavyweight and becoming champion. That's him. Middleweight, light heavyweight, won them all. Beat them all. That's what he did. And so he used the power. He literally used his power and stardom to go and face off against every notable, reputable, legitimate contender. And ran through everybody in the 90s, in early 2000s. Ran through everybody. So, I mean, we've seen other people do it. And if you don't do it, when we know you have the capacity to, because you're at the same threshold as other greats who did the same thing, then there's no excuse. There isn't. There is not. And the doggone thing we can say, except for you, yourself, are the main reason why your career is the way it is. And because of that, we got to critique it as such. We have to. There's no excuse. Let's see. Tank wants a contract. Okay. Let's see. Trip G, brother, how you doing? Appreciate you joining in on the show. Again, had not my little rant. I'm sorry. But hey, Fight Buzz, who was here, he knows exactly what I'm about and what time I'm on. Because I told you, you need to be prepped for this. Because I got some stuff to say about this whole Tank situation. But either way, Tank wants a contract extension, and it's a smart business move by him. He'll get his new deal done. Now, potentially, that's true. Potentially. But I can't say that. Because at this point in time, from what it looks like with Tank, unless it actually shows me that this was all a ploy to get some other money in, like we saw with Teofimo Lopez, then I can't say anything. Now again, with Tio, we had our discrepancies. It was more so out the blue. It was kind of like, oh shoot, with the world. But even still, until that actually happens, I can't say that that's real. I'm not saying that that's not possible. I'm not saying that's not what he's trying to do. But I can't personally validate that as genuinely what his plan is. Because if you see his reactions, if you see his body language, if you see the all-around person that Tank is in the press conference, again, I can only go off of what I see and what's been said. Because context prior to this was everything was all hunky-dory with him. We may have not liked the way he moved, but he was doing what he was doing and was doing it happily. So this has been a shift and a change in the demeanor of Tank. So because of that, I got to take it what his words are with him mentally not being there, having some issues that's just boxing just too much, and genuinely wanting to be done with the game, on top of what he had said previously years ago with him being wanting to retire early in his career. That, again, not trying to brag, but I was telling you all on this channel multiple times. That's what Tank had been saying. And now that he's following through with it, I can only take his word for it. At least for me, I can only take his word for it. So, Fight Buzz, brother, what's up? I saw you in the chat earlier. Glad you came back to the show. What you got to say on the show? Can't wait for the fight this weekend. Never team Valdez. Oh, you put 100 on Valdez by decision. Oh, my gosh. Well. I hope you're right. And I really hope that we see Valdez make the changes. Because, brother, it's going to be a war. It's going to be an absolute, in the words of JR, it's going to be a slobber knocker. It's going to be an outright insane event. Oh, it's going to be action-packed from pillar to post. But I hope you're right. You already know who I picked. I picked Neverete. I got him winning by probably unanimous decision or another doctor stoppage. But if we see that Valdez does make those changes, if we see him use that right hand more, if we see him come forward instead of constantly trying to go back for the counter, like I broke down in the fight. In fact, I'll post that clip of the breakdown on this show. Hey, we can see the upset. And we can see you get your money. So, hey, I hope it happens. I hope it happens. More power to you. If you do, hey, feel free to go on and slide some my way. If it goes the way I said it was going to go, give me some what's restitution? Is that the word? Give me my props. That's right. Yeah, I deserve half of that. If I gave you all this breakdown and predictions, and I'm the one that you went and used and put your money on because of me. I'm just kidding. I'm being funny, but I hope it works out for you. But either way, it's going to be a great fight. And let's see who's questioning this man and why. I'm questioning this man, to the Gervonta Tank Davis, because I'm questioning what he is and what he wants out of his career. The brother has been saying he wants something, but yet he does the complete opposite. Now, he's at a crossroads of essentially contradiction of his own values, of what he says that he desires. Now, the only thing we can say is, brother, you said one thing, you did another. I'm questioning what you really wanted out of your career and questioning your status as a Hall of Famer, as an all-time great. Your talent was great, but where we view you is not going to be where it needs to be. It just isn't. In my opinion, it just is not. Let's see. We got people today. Oh, this is great. This is phenomenal. If you think that Usyk can't beat Dubois, you might need your minds. Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. Wait a minute, Jason, brother. First off, Radcliffe, appreciate you joining in on the show. I'm glad you're here. Absolutely. I truly am glad that you're here. But I never questioned that Usyk can't beat Dubois. No, I never questioned. He beat him. Usyk beat Dubois. Like he knocked him out. Like it was one. We covered this in the past show. It was one of the biggest building blocks as to why Dubois turned into the Dubois that beat Anthony Joshua, the Dubois that beat and TKO'd Philip Hergovich, the Dubois that beat and knocked out Jarrell Miller. He was one of the catalysts for why that happened. Now, can Usyk beat him again? Absolutely. But I guarantee you this right now, it's gonna be a great fight, especially with what we know about how Dubois will go to the body and how his ability to go to the body affected Usyk in the past. 'Cause I have still said until then and up until now, that shot to the body was clean, and that should have been a knockdown. It was right on the belt buckle, right on the belt line, and it should have been a knockdown. And that's Usyk has been notoriously bad to the body. So this Dubois, it ain't out of the question to say that he can beat him. It ain't out of the question at all. Especially with his new grit and determination. It's not out of the question at all that he could beat him. That's why I want to see that rematch in. Because this Dubois can give Usyk some real trouble. Because he already got him once, or already almost got him once, with a shot to the body. And this is when Dubois was seen as really way under the skill level of Usyk. Now, Dubois is still under the skill level. But now this is a Dubois that's validated and is indeed real about his talent and ability. And is more sure of himself and has found himself. This Dubois is different from the old Dubois. This Dubois can give Usyk an even tougher night. I will still pick Usyk to win. But it's not as big of a gap as it used to be. At least for me. It's exciting to see. Let's see. Eric Black, what you say? The man ain't lost in 20 plus years. He tried this. Hold on. Wait, let me make sure. Hold on. Let me stick my glasses back up. The man ain't lost in 20 plus years. He tried. Why is this such an issue? Oh, because he ain't do what the public want him to do. Come on, man. That's man life, not nobody else's, bro. It is his life. Absolutely. And we said at the start of the show, if you weren't here at the start of the show, and Fight Buzz, you might have been here too, we talked about. We and again, Trip G, appreciate it. I appreciate you coming in. Again, I ain't trying to rant, but this is just we trying to be real. We got to be real about this, because this is the state that there's a big ripple effect that this is going to have on the world of boxing. And again, Eric Black, I'm about to answer your question. And true, Tank has been saying for years now that he will get his money and retire early. See, absolutely, I'm not saying this because I hate him. I'm not saying this because any of this that I'm saying is nowhere close to hate. All of this is strictly because of what Tank's words have been versus what he has done in his career. If he was doing nothing else but fighting in the same vein that we saw in a way in others fight that we all laud is indeed great and special, the only thing we would be saying is, well, can this brother make 147? Because if we see that he can beat, let's say hypothetically his career went as great as it could be, lived up to everything that I know he can be, and he beat Loma, he beat Shakur, he beat Tio, And he beat Ryan Garcia and then beat Devin Haney, or beat Ryan Garcia twice. One at 135, one at 140, and then beat Devin Haney. The only thing we're saying is now, well, next up is Crawford. Because Roberto Duran, when he cleaned house, moved up. Henry Armstrong, when he cleaned house, he moved up. Reigned as champion for two divisions at one point in time, at the same time. We've seen these types of greats do it, and Tank, we have been saying, is at that level from a talent perspective. It's undeniable. It's undeniable. And so because of that, the only talk we will be talking about right now is will Tank go for Terrence Crawford at 147? Because he has done everything he needs to do and has no competition between 140 and 135 that he has to fight anymore because he's beaten everybody. That's all we would be talking about. That's what I want to talk about. That would be a great show. That would be years worth of content if you want to go from a business standpoint. But just for the fans as a whole, that's what we would want to see. That's what we want to see. That's what we would want to see. Tank is somebody that is indeed on the threshold of being an all-time great, the likes of which we look back on and saying, brother, that man is phenomenal. One of the greatest of this generation, and all flowers should be given to him, just like giving to Pacquiao and Mayweather and Terrence Crawford and shoot, any great of today. When this era ends, we should be saying Tank is of the same ilk as Usyk and Inoue and Terrence Crawford. Those should be the three. Those should be the names that define this generation. It should be Tyson Fury, Usyk, and Tyson Fury, Usyk, Terrence Crawford, Inoue, and Tank. Those should be the names. You want to argue Devin Haney? Okay, you can. Argue Teofimo Lopez? You can. But in terms of the four pillars, and Canelo. Those should be the five names. Fury, Usyk, Inoue, Terrence Crawford, and Canelo. Gervonta Davis. Those six names should be the names that are synonymous with this era and generation of boxing. No question about it. But because of what he's done, he hasn't gotten there, and it's frustrating. Because there's nothing I want more than to discuss the greatness of a fighter and put it in its great, proper context and be able to say this man was great and there's no denying it. But if we don't give this level of critique and the consistency to make it legitimate that the standard is held, we got a problem. We got a problem. Oh, and Eric Black, brother, I appreciate you subscribing. We got another one. Hey, we got another one. Ladies and gentlemen, we got another one. Oh, yes, we reeled him in. We call him. Oh, yeah. We done did it. We done did it. This community is growing ever so much. Eric Black, I appreciate you subscribing. Hopefully, I'm doing you good. Hopefully, I'm doing all of you good with what I'm talking about and how we're talking. Because, again, I want to hear from you. This is a show that we're all in this together. I'm just here to be the entertainment, give you my own thoughts and opinions. I may not know everything. I may be wrong about stuff. I'm completely fine with it. But the goal is, 1, have fun. 2, learn and grow. And 3, let's have a debate. Oh, let's get it on. Let's get it popping. But real quick, Eric Black, do want to get to you. Ain't lost in 20 plus years. What's this issue? If we're still talking about Tank, when it comes to Tank, our issue isn't personal. Because with Tank, his life is his life. And we talked about this at the top of the show. We don't want boxers to go home and never be the same. We've seen the catastrophic effects of this sport. We've seen the catastrophic nature that the sport can bring upon anybody. It is unforgiving. It is undiscerning. It does not care who you are. It will rip life from you. It's why you are a special breed if you get into the sport. But the problem is, with Tank, you can do what you want, absolutely. And we want you to be better for it. Get your money. Go be with your family. Get therapy. Do everything that you need to do to be a better person. Absolutely. No issue there. No, I will never, let me not say we, because I can't speak for everybody. I will never be the man to hold that against you to make a move to better your life. I wouldn't, if that's what you need to do, I would never do that. I won't do that. The what I will do, strict, because again, we don't talk about personal life. We don't talk about what somebody does outside the ring unless it affects what is happening inside the ring, or it's catastrophic where it's undeniable that we have to discuss it. We leave personal business to personal business. Our whole goal as fans, I don't care what you do in your career. I want to be able to see you 20 years down the line and shake your hand and say, thank you for the memories. Appreciate what you've done for the sport. You're such a great fighter. This give you your flowers as they are due. Enjoy the fruits of your labor. I want that. And for Tank, I want that too. But the issue in the ring, there's still a level of consistency that you have to have when you fight. And if what you talk and what you say and what you do, they gotta line up. They have to. Regardless of what you want to do at the end of your career. When it ends, it ends. That's it. It's all said and done. You make your own decision. But in the ring, as somebody who watches the sport and loves the sport, and again, as a media, I'm trying to be a media personality. I'm trying to be a pundit. I'm trying to be somebody that genuinely makes people want to see the sport and the sports world as a whole different and better. When it comes to that, we have to make sure that we say that your career and what you do is done accordingly. So we can reach the threshold that you say that you are at. But if you don't, we have to call it out. Because if we don't, and nobody else does, then when somebody else comes down the line and wants to follow your career, they can do even less. And the bar gets lowered more and more and more, yet they're seen on the same caliber as you. And when that happens, now your own legacy gets hurt. Your own legacy gets diminished. Your own legacy and talent gets put down because now you aren't even seen as great as you should be in its proper context. Because we hyped up what your context was in the past. Now in the future, other people that can do less than you get to enjoy the same level of context. And that's not right. That's not right for Tank. That's not right for other greats like Roy, like Sugar Ray Leonard, like Roberto Duran, and other Hall of Famers like James Toney. We can go down the list, don't matter who. It's not right. Because if you want your legacy intact, and if you want to be properly put to where somebody isn't better than you, when it's all said and done, you got to reach that same threshold. And whether you're a fan of a fighter or not, you can be a fan of a sport. You can be the fan of the sport, or you can be the fan of just one fighter. Whatever you do is perfectly fine. But the point is, with all of that, there's still got to be a linear staple that is a clear barometer for whoever you support that is indeed unnegotiable or non-negotiable. If you don't reach this, you don't get to be talked about like that. If you don't do this, you don't get to be seen as that. While you are still great, you don't get to cross into the threshold of elevated greatness due to what you've done. That's plain and simple. And so I don't want Tank's legacy ruined because of what Tank is doing now. Because of what Tank is doing now is continued to be done by other fighters, and they get put on the same threshold as, oh, could this brother beat Tank? And we know good and well that those conversations shouldn't be had. We have a problem. We have a problem. It's a domino effect of negativity that I see it, and people got to get aware of it. Because if they don't, they're going to be very much angry with what happens down the line when their favorite fighter, who has indeed done something, is now put at a lower threshold because of what somebody else did in the past that lowered the bar to let somebody else in the future come in and do something that doesn't match up to another fighter, but they still get be seen as greater. We can't have that. It's not supposed to be. At least for me. It's not supposed to be. In my humble opinion, it's not supposed to be. Let's see. Good gosh, I've been missing stuff left, right, and center. Are we forgetting? Let's see, Eric Black. Are we forgetting that he said specifically that he doesn't feel comfortable at 140, and he's just answering questions, and surely because he's tired of answering questions that he's answered already. Okay, and so, and wait a minute, hold on. Okay, wait, hold on. Let's see. Arguing with nobody. Let's see. Anybody else? Oh, hey, wait a minute. Hold on, everybody. Let's cool it. Hold on. Wait a minute now. Let's calm down a little bit. We try. We love debate. Let's try to keep it clean with the animosity. I love the back and forth. We don't want to get hateful and spiteful. Please, if we can. We want to make this as inviting. I'm not saying don't go back and forth, but if we could, as a referee, let's break it up a little bit. Hold on. Let's separate. Let's get back into let's get back into the drive if we can. Answering your question, Eric, when we talk about him fighting at 140, Gervonta Davis fighting at 140, Tank has said that he's uncomfortable. I get it. But the problem is, you already did it. It's different when, like, how do we say this? It's different when we'll use Canelo. Canelo went, and yeah, see, we got comments. Tank said he would fight Ryan Garcia at 140. He did. He did say that. He would go back up to 140 to fight Ryan Garcia. He just called out Teofimo Lopez now and said that he wants to slap. Where's my thing? Where's my thing? Where's it? The brother said he wants to slap the out of him. Now, granted, I ain't using that language because we ain't trying to get demonetized, but he wants to slap the out of him. He wants to do that. The brother wants to mess him up to kingdom come. Because of all the stuff he said about black people. And I get it. I do get it. But that's what Tank said. And he also put him on his hit list in the past. We are not trying to make excuses for Tank. We are saying that Tank, because you fought at 140, you achieved at 140, and you look good doing it. You went and you fought and you were able to beat one of the best in the division. You did. He was tops in the division. Mario Barrios. And so like Tank's got the ability. Like I've said this. Tank can fight comfortably and beat most everybody up until 147. He could clean out 135. He could clean out 140. He could beat Liam Poirot, who's fighting. He could beat Richardson Hitchens, who's fighting Liam Poirot, who beat Subriel Matias. He could beat Subriel Matias. I can go down the list of every single competitor at 140 outside of Teofimo Lopez that I could say confidently that Tank could beat. Outside of Teo, Tank could beat just about everybody comfortably at 140 pounds. Comfortably. Like there's no issue there. And again, with anybody going into a new division, Tank and anybody, if you can go and you can ease yourself in, you can be comfortable. You went and you jumped in the deep end and you fought and beat Mario Barrios. So now, uncomfortably, you beat the best in the division at that point, or one of the best in the division at that point in time, Mario Barrios. So like, you get what I'm saying? It's not about that. You showed what you could do. And since you showed what you could do, there's no reason to say that you couldn't do that again. Especially going about it the proper way. With Canelo going and fighting at 175, I said that might be too big for him. But the point is, up until this point, we ain't seen him fight at 154, 160, 168. And what did he do? He eased into the division. He would move up, fight, stay a while, then go to the next division. Fight, stay a while, then move up. That is the proper way to make it so that you are indeed ready to face on whatever you need to do. We're not saying fight at the same, we're not saying immediately go, though you could. We are not saying that you need to immediately go and automatically fight Teo, Devin, and then move up to 147 and fight Terrence Crawford right out the gate. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that at this point in time, you can't say that you're uncomfortable and then you went and beat the best at another division and then move back down to 135 and then not even fight the best people at 135 while they were there. And then when everybody moves up to the new division and you're gone, you still haven't fought the people that need to fight at 135. That's the problem. That's a problem. Because even if you're uncomfortable at a higher weight, at the same weight, you're operating the exact same way. And you just showed what your potential is. It's literally beyond the division. So that's where the issue comes into play. If you just showed, that would be like, that would be like if we saw somebody like, let's say, let's use Terrence Crawford. That's like if we saw Terrence Crawford from 147, forget forget Canelo. Let's say this buddy moved up from 147 to we'll say 185. Well, no, that might be a bad example. This is like Inoue right now, who is indeed great. This is like Inoue going through, and he's at 122 now. This brother goes up and fights at 127 immediately, and 127, 130, and beats whoever is at the top of that division. Then, all of a sudden, Junto Nakatani and Bam Rodriguez are right on his heels. They get to the division that he's in. And then all of a sudden, he won't fight him because, they can balloon up to they can get to 130. And I'm not comfortable fighting at 130, but you just beat and knocked out a 130-pound champion. Like, you just did that with ease. And now, when the competition that's right behind you gets or oversees what your normal threshold that we perceived you as had, now all of a sudden they're too much. That's another contradiction. And so that's where the problem lies. It's not that Tank isn't Tank. It's that Tank isn't being the Tank that we know he can be. An excuse of something's too big doesn't make sense when you yourself fought big and went and achieved. And so if you show us, hey, I can do whatever I want to do, and then you go and live up to that standard. Now, the only thing we can say is if you don't match that standard when the appropriate time comes, now we have a problem. For me, anyway. Now we have a problem. But let's see. We got conversations left, right, and center. My gosh, I really wish that this thing was working because this has been great. This has been phenomenal. But let's see. Eric, I don't think Tank really cares about the sport anymore. Much more or less, and so more or less, I don't think it's the sport. I believe it's the politics, and that could be true. We've talked about politics in the past on this show. It's been bad. It's always been bad. It's been corrupt. The sport's been corrupt for years. It's been corrupt from the mafia to Don King all the way up to even now. We see lights at the end of the tunnel with Turkish Al Sheikh and what he's done for the sport. But even regardless of that, out and out, the whole of politics and boxing is bad. It's so bad. It's again, I don't even know all the ins and outs of it. I just view myself, again, I'm a rabbit fan. I want to be a pundit for all sports, kind of like a Stephen A type person. I want to reach that same threshold. Even as much as I may know stuff now, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, I don't know everything. There are plenty of people that can explain the business side and the underbelly and the background of boxing better than me from a business and financial perspective. Oh, absolutely. I know where my limit is, where I'm trying to learn and elevate to. Other people already know more than me. Other people have better connections. Other people have connections, period. But you can go to them. And you can see exactly why the politics of boxing are so incredibly bad. It's so, from people like with Canelo being able to hold his belt for who knows how many times when he hasn't fought David Benavidez, and Benavidez never out and out being his mandatory up until he finally moved up, and then now all of a sudden, hey, well, now here's your shot. Or when the IBF stripped Terrence Crawford of the title of being undisputed while letting Errol Spence keep that title while never defending a mandatory in Errol Spence's own right for upwards of 2 or 3 years. We can go down the list. There's a bunch of stuff. There's a bunch. There is a bunch of stuff going on that's a problem in the background of sports. And so he may well be tired of it. He may well this isn't worth it. Absolutely. That may be where his mental state, a part of his mental state is. And that may be what helped to be a catalyst for why now we're looking at this and saying, nah, this ain't it for me. This ain't what needs to be for the sport. I don't want to deal with this. Absolutely. Absolutely. That could very well be a legitimate reason as to why. No, wholeheartedly can agree with that because boxing politics are utterly terrible. Utterly terrible. And again, Trip G, he may want a new deal from the PBC. He may be pulling the same thing that Teofimo Lopez also pulled. But at the same time, just like with Teo, until that actually happens, I got to take his word. And I got to take what his mentality is as well as what his words were in the past. If he didn't say stuff like this in the past, we will be having a completely different conversation. Completely different conversation about Tank, about his rhetoric, about where his mental state is. But because of what he said previously, when it came to his career and when he wants it to end and what he wants to do at the end, I got to say this is what he wants. This is about on the right timeline from my perspective. From you, it could be different. But from what I'm seeing and from what he said in the past, his words, not mine, not trying to insinuate or not trying to push a narrative. The only thing I can go on off of is what he himself admitted to wanting to do when he wanted to retire, what he was in the sport for, and what he ultimately wants to do when he gets out of the sport. That's the only thing I can say except what his words are. I can only throw his words back at him and in the context of the conversation. So because of that, if it is for a new deal, no problem. But until he shows it, I can't say that that's true up until right now. And so you might be pulling a John Jones, and he just wants forget you money. Yeah, absolutely. The brother, yeah, you absolutely Trip G, you might be right. But he may be, and again, John Jones ain't fighting Tom Aspinall. And Tom Aspinall, that would be the biggest fight in the UFC and one of the biggest fights in mixed martial arts history outside of an outright fight with John Jones and Francis Ngannou, crossing over from the PFL to the UFC or having a cross-promotional event. That would be it. That would be the only fight that would be seen as bigger, most likely. But not John Jones, brother won't fight Tom Aspinall up until he gets some ludicrous amounts of money, or will fight Alex Pereira. And he doesn't need to fight Alex Pereira. Because if he fights Alex Pereira, it's going to be a wash. As great as Alex Pereira is, his power may just be transcendent. But that brother ain't going to have the ability to be able to fight and beat somebody who can grapple at the same level of a John Jones. That's just not happening. It's not happening. Jones got the explosiveness of Khalil Rountree with the power. Even if he doesn't have as much power as the best heavyweights, he's still a heavyweight with punching power. And you saw what he did to Stipe Miocic with a spinning heel kick. And Miocic is one of the toughest brothers out there. One of the greatest heavyweights in UFC history. Nah, Pereira ain't beating that in my estimation. He'll be an upset. Not saying he doesn't have the ability to, but most likely, no, he ain't beating that. John Jones is too much and too many avenues and assets. But he may be pulling the same thing that John Jones is pulling, wanting so much money to make these fights happen just to be able to say, yeah, this is what I'm worth, pay me or I'm done. That could be. And so it's like, let's see, I think Floyd Mayweather is a huge reason that the sport is the way it is. What's my thoughts on it? Well, Fight Buzz, appreciate the question. And this is something that has been incredibly frustrating to answer because of the very nature of the question. Because Floyd is indeed one of the greatest in boxing history. Arguably the greatest defensive fighter that we had seen. On par or above the likes of Napoleon Loche, Pernell Whitaker, James Toney, and others. Absolutely. Willie Pep, don't matter. Has mastered the art of the Philly shell. has done everything you would want for his career. But when he doesn't, what he did when he turned into Money Mayweather is what everybody remembered. And that's what stuck. Because people forgot about the legacy that he achieved before the transition to money, when his hands got brittle, when he turned to a more defensive fighter, when he went into the marketing style of being the villain, pay to see me get beat, which ain't gonna happen. This is what made the sport change. I don't have to fight the best of the best constantly to achieve. I can just be the villain. I can be, if I just get to a staple in the minds of boxing fans, I just got to maintain that mask, maintain that facade, maintain that same level of perceived best in the world star power, regardless of who I fight. And then from there, now I'm good. That's what Floyd made people see that they could do. Now, they forgot the back end of it, which was you get to a status of greatness first. You beat quality people first, and then you hop on the money-making train. Now, I don't like the money-making train at all. I like the way that Pacquiao went about doing it, which was he went and he kept on fighting. But regardless of what you want to say about him versus Floyd, which, again, was 5 years too late. And if there was 5 years before, where we might be having a different conversation about Floyd's undefeated record. Floyd already shouldn't be undefeated because he lost, in my opinion, against Castillo the first time. But he was still. Floyd started the trend of having the ability to make your career. It doesn't have to have great names. It just has to have a great look. And if it has a great look, people will buy into the look. If you look like you are worth $1,000 when you walk down the street, people will treat you like you're worth $1,000, even if all your clothes are counterfeit. Now, the brother walking around with a t-shirt, what looks like some regular schmegular shoes and some jeans, they won't get any play at all. They won't get any type of second glances. They won't get any type of outright acclaim. Oh, wow, you look so flashy. They won't hear that. But the clothes that they're wearing are a $1,000 t-shirt, $5,000 shoes, and the jeans themselves are $800. And if they're a signature edition of a certain type or custom made, but they're probably worth $3,000. And so their whole outfit is worth more than the perception that the other flashy man is being viewed at. But because the flash is flash, it gets talked about. But the substance is walking straight down the street and you miss it. But it used to be that people knew what substance was. Boxers knew and appreciated substance over just the flash, though the flash was necessary because you need to be a spectacle in the sport. That's just, it's the truth. We're not going to gloss over that. Legacy and star power are both two sides of a coin. They need each other. You need star power to be able to get people to want to see you. And then two, the substance or production validates that star power. It makes that star power longer staying. That's what it does. So they're both equally necessary. You need to be seen as a big time star. You need the flash, but you also need the substance to back up said flash. But now with Floyd, you could have the flash without the substance and everything be okay. Or when you do fight somebody of substance, when he turned into Money Mayweather, not Pretty Boy, but Money Mayweather, second half of his career. Now you turn into, you can get the substance, but once the substance has lost its luster, fighting people at the right time, fighting people when it's the right moment, when they're on a certain decline that, yep, it's time for me to take them. I can beat them in this state. That is what Floyd did second half of his career. And then ultimately fighting Conor McGregor for that 50th win that really shouldn't have counted. That shouldn't be what makes him the 50-0 star and then automatically retire. Because as we see now with Jake Paul, that should mean nothing. Because any boxer that fights against a UFC fighter in boxing should kill him. should destroy them, should absolutely mop the floor with them. There should be no consequence to fight against, to fight a UFC fighter. None. No consequence to fight a UFC fighter. Because there's nothing for real competition. But the flash outweighed the substance so much. And while Conor McGregor does have substance, one of the greatest UFC fighters and MMA fighters in history, one of the biggest stars in the MMA and in the globe as an athlete, yes, the flash was there, but the substance wasn't the necessary substance for the certain environment. If it was Floyd beating Mayweather in the UFC, we're having a different conversation. My gosh. Floyd beat Conor McGregor in the octagon for his 50th win, we're having another conversation. But Floyd beating McGregor in a boxing ring, while there is substance behind Conor, no question, what that substance is does not and should not translate to be seen as the same pinnacle that it got pushed to now. And so that's the problem with Floyd. He started this. He made this trend and mastered the trend of being able to be a businessman and be, in and of himself, a businessman. And so because of that, what's the goal of business? Making money. The facade of real elegance and grace, if you're a product. That's what makes people want to buy the product. Not if its substance is actually rooted and grounded in actual glitz and glamour. Substance that is worthy of having that level of status put onto it. Floyd was the ultimate marketer. Floyd was the ultimate money machine. He helped make fighters see you can go an alternate route and not fight everybody and still be seen in the same caliber if you go about it the right way. If you make them believe the dream. If you make them believe the dream, but you don't actually test the dream out, you can be great. That's what Floyd did. Doesn't take away from what his career is. He's still one of the greatest of all time. But it also doesn't negate what his career is, which is it was a career that at one point in time was no questions asked. But now, with everything taken into account, yeah, there were some questions that needed to be answered. Because let's be honest, he could have fought Keith Thurman. If Pacquiao could fight Keith Thurman, he could have fought Keith Thurman. He could have, I said this in the last show, Pacquiao was fighting on a trek to fight against Terrence Crawford. Remember that. If Pacquiao didn't get robbed against Jeff Horn, which was indeed a robbery, the first fight on ESPN, one of the worst things that could have happened was making a great fight that Pacquiao did indeed dominate and win, but he lost because it was in Australia and the judges were abhorrently biased. If that fight had gone Pacquiao's way, Pacquiao was fighting Terrence Crawford for the title, not Jeff Horn. And then from that point on, if we see Pacquiao win, good gosh, who knows what happens then? We see Pacquiao beat Terrence Crawford. Shoot. At that stage in his career, my gosh. If we see Terrence Crawford beat Pacquiao, even at that stage in his career, when he still looked great, when he was still beating Father Time like LeBron, at that point before the Ugas fight, when finally it just caught up with him. But at that stage, Terrence Crawford beats Pacquiao, phenomenal win, incredible win, a stupendous win that only elevates Terrence Crawford and makes Pacquiao's career resume still look great, if not even better. Because up until that late stage in his career, the brother in his almost mid-40s was still fighting the best of the best. And he still did, don't get me wrong. But that was the career trajectory that Pacquiao was on. Pacquiao was even talking about fighting Errol Spence Jr. If he had beaten Ugas, he would have fought Errol Spence Jr. Are you kidding me? That is what we could have seen Floyd do, at least attempt to do. But he didn't. That's the thing. I'm not saying that he would have beat him. Let understand. I'm not saying that he would have beat him. I'm not trying to be, again, I'm not delusional. I would have picked Terrence Crawford, absolutely. But with what Pacquiao was doing in that moment and how he was looking, there's no saying that he couldn't beat him with how elite he is and what his status and his accomplishments and his talent had done. It was not the question. It was not the question at all. But no, but with all that's to be said, was simply Floyd could have taken that same approach. Floyd could have taken an approach similar to that. But he didn't. And ultimately, when it did end for Floyd's career, it ended with not an actual boxer as his final win, but now being touted as he's greater than Ali for some people, specifically for his fans. And that's a bold-faced lie. But what was sold was the facade. And because that facade never got really shaken up when it was all said and done, and they built up somebody that shouldn't have been in the ring with Floyd as a legitimate contender for Floyd, now we see his status is elevated where it shouldn't be. But his status is still, at its roots, still high. But Floyd, that's why this trend started. Because you can be great without being great if you follow this to a letter. That's what he was doing with Tank early on. And even then, early on, Tank was early on, beat Pedraza, beat Leo Santa Cruz, looked like an incredible fighter at that young age. And then the real Mayweather, the real money Mayweather, got hold and changed Tank's trajectory with the way he was matchmaking, who he was keeping him from, with everybody else that followed suit. Follow that same footsteps. Now we're starting to get out of that. Thank the Lord. But even still, it still perpetuates and it's still there. It's going to take some time before it finally goes away for good. And so, but hey, it's sad, but it's true. But let's see. We got, good gosh, we got more comments. This is incredible. We got Fight Buzz. Pacquiao Mayweather in '08. Who wins? Now, this, y'all might hate me. I would have had Pacquiao. For me, I would have had Pacquiao. Because Pacquiao in '08, and even we can go a little bit earlier, but I believe when they were both in the same relative category in '08, and the fight was talked about as this is it. It was a situation where Pacquiao at that point in time had the speed and power to be able to negate Floyd's timing. Not because Floyd wasn't adaptable, not because Floyd wasn't Floyd, but the biggest thing for me was Pacquiao with his ability to come in explosively and match and or beat the explosiveness that we see Floyd have with his countering ability. He could overwhelm the defense of Floyd Mayweather. While if he does eat counters, he could still go. He would, at that point in time, he could still eat counter. He wouldn't be able to eat the power of Floyd and come forward. Similar to what we saw, well, not similar, but somewhere akin to what we saw when Maidana had a close fight with Floyd Mayweather. He lost his argument that he should have won, but highly contested, and then Floyd beat him a second time. Hey, what happened. But the speed and the legitimate power that would have been from Pacquiao was a perfect blend of everything that gave Floyd Mayweather trouble, in my estimation. And if you agree, that's fine. But with Pacquiao, one being a southpaw, two, pound being one of the best punchers in the sport, having the power of somebody like a Shane Mosley who buzzed Floyd, having the infighting ability of, again, a Maidana who was able to make it rough and tough, having the speed to be able to not just keep up, but in some cases, hand speed wise, may have outshined Floyd Mayweather. In foot speed and closing the distance, there wasn't a situation where Floyd would have been able just to get away all fight long. For me, that would have been the difference maker. And the speed at which Pacquiao could fight in '08 was something that there's an argument, he's one of the fastest boxers in history. Floyd had speed, and he wasn't comparable to that. Floyd had great reaction time. He wasn't comparable to that. Genuinely. And we're looking at Pacquiao, we're saying the man whose power could carry, whose talent was undeniable, and whose ability was a mix of everything that Floyd did indeed have trouble with, or the fights that gave him the most trouble. Pacquiao had those attributes of power, of off angles, of awkward rhythm, like with the Drunken Master. He had the ability, he could crack you and then fight out of the clinch. There's an argument he might have been stronger than Floyd. So if Floyd tried to clinch up, he could fight out in clinch. This is the same brother who fought later on down the line, Antonio Margarito. So he had, in my opinion, he had everything. And yeah, oh wait, Floyd wasn't trying to get away. I completely understand. Yes, you're right, Chris. And also, Chris, appreciate you joining in on the show. Yes, indeed. Yeah, glad you're here. Glad you joined in. Glad you're on this great show that you got. I appreciate your question. I appreciate you bringing this up or having your thoughts. Again, you don't got to agree. I completely understand why you would have Floyd. When it comes to Floyd, we're not disrespecting his talent. No, I'm simply saying that if it had happened in both of their primes, I think that Pacquiao would have won, because Pacquiao had every tool necessary and was smart, incredibly smart as a boxer, incredibly unique and fluid as a boxer, where he could adapt to so many different things all at once. He would change his rhythm and timing at the drop of a hat. He would throw different combinations that all were in volume, but all started out differently and ended differently. But you wouldn't tell the difference because he was so quick and he got up on you so quickly. All of that are things that I don't think Floyd could have beaten altogether. Because if Pacquiao hurt Floyd wouldn't have, in my opinion, wouldn't have been able to hold on like we saw against Shane Mosley. If Floyd had tried to come forward, we all know what Pacquiao is as a come forward fighter. It's hard for me to say that he would have beat him in his own game. You get what I'm saying? Now, if it was fought defensively, okay, maybe it would have been a little more tougher. I still think Pacquiao would win in an incredibly close fight. But if it's a Floyd that is standing his ground and coming forward, or even if he's not coming forward, he's not moving back, but he'll fight in the pocket. He'll go and he'll block. He'll throw counters in the middle of punches without moving, which he could and can, especially at that point in time. Absolutely, absolutely. But with Pacquiao as multi-dimensional as he was, with all the physical attributes that were elite, the best of the best pound for pound, it was undeniable what Pacquiao was as a physical specimen. And as a technical fighter, as an offensive technical fighter, again, there was no debate as to what Pacquiao was as an offensive specimen. He had everything that would have been able to beat Floyd. Would he have knocked him out? I don't know. If it got forced into a fight, would Floyd have won? I don't think so. If it was in a boxing match and Floyd went and was genuinely started boxing, let's say he didn't try to get away, but he started fighting a little more defensively then, because of his adaptability, he would have seen it might be better to look to catch Pacquiao when he's lunging forward rather than trying to meet him face to face and fight in the pocket. It would have been an even closer competition. And it very well could have been what we saw in, what was it, when they fought. I forget, when was it, 2012, 2014? I forget when they actually, well, shoot, hold on. When was that fight? Real quick. Floyd versus Pacquiao. Let's see, when was this? This was, okay, yeah, it's 2015. So yeah, okay, yeah. Gosh, 2015. Shoot. Oh my goodness. Oh, oh gosh. That was a ways away. Shoot. I didn't realize it was that. My gosh. I was in high school when that happened. Dang. I'm sorry. Well, look, I don't know about you, Chris. I'm hitting my prime. I ain't getting old. I don't know about you. I'm hitting my prime. We right in the midst of it. We elevating. Oh yeah, I was young and learning. Now I'm right here where I need to be. I don't call myself old because I'm still. I ain't gonna. If I start calling myself old, oh boy, I don't want to go in that process. I'm still in my prime, and so are you and everybody here. We still elevating regardless of what age you are. We ain't getting old. No, we getting better. That's what we doing. We are evolving and changing. That's what we doing here. And so, oh boy. But in all seriousness, in that 08-10 phase when it came to Floyd, I truly believe that Floyd would have lost to Pacquiao. It would have probably been a split decision. And if he caught him clean and got the opportunity, it could, not saying it would have, it could have ended in KO. If anybody had the best opportunity to do it, it would have been Pacquiao. It really would have. Floyd has said that Pacquiao was his hardest opponent of the day, like outside of the Drunken Master, early in his career. So it's like at the peak of his powers, I think he could have done it. I really do believe Floyd would have gotten beat by Pacquiao at least once. Or if he did win, it would have been the same situation that we saw with Maidana, where Floyd won, or Castillo, where Floyd won, hotly contested. Many people would have felt he lost that fight. And then rematch, if it's the Floyd that we know, he might just mop the floor with him. Might. The only reason why I say might is because, again, we're dealing with Pacquiao here. We're not dealing with just any other great. We're not. We're dealing with an arguably, from a greatness standpoint, top 10 boxer in history. Arguably. You can't forego the changes that Pacquiao may have made in that second fight. But at least one of them, he's winning. In my estimation, he's at least winning one. People you may not like it. I completely understand. I completely get your arguments. But for me, what I saw and seen with Floyd, which at the best, it's hard for me to say that Pacquiao wasn't best equipped, best suited, and had legitimately the best opportunity to beat him in 08, in his prime, if it wasn't for waiting him out. That's just me. And so, but again, Floyd's still great. Both of them are incredible. No question there. No question at all. Let's see. I was like a sophomore when they fought. Okay. But anybody beats Floyd, it's Pac. Yeah, most likely it's Pacquiao. But how do you feel about Lamont Roach versus Tank Davis? Well, since we're here, let me answer that. Let me go through these comments real quick. And Chris, I'll answer your question. The thing about Pacquiao was a lot of questionable stuff going on in the shadows, mainly PEDs, accusations that resulted in major leagues. Now, I've heard a bunch of stuff about that. I've done my research, the best of my ability, about it. What I understand from what I found, Pacquiao, again, it's been a minute since I looked up this, because I remember when this was hotly contested. I don't believe he ever tested positive. And a lot of those rumors weren't valid. From what, if not all of them, weren't valid in the PED accusations. From what I gather. So I don't hold that as a legitimate reason for why it should have been held back. For me, I'll go back and research. And again, like we said with everything, research for yourself, legitimately, everything that we talk about. Because I'm just here, I can give you my thoughts and opinions, absolutely. But I'm not the end-all, be-all. Anybody can learn and grow. Anybody can be wrong or right. I'm just here giving you the best of knowledge that I can to help as best as I can elevate your mind and love and passion for boxing and just whatever we talk about in the sports world, whether it be basketball, football, or other things of the like. But check everything. Check everything for yourself. Go back and research for yourself. Do your own research to verify if what I'm saying is true. And if it's not, then it's not. Plain and simple. If we find two different stuff, that means we got an opportunity to discuss, compare, and truly make the proper answer. Because the whole goal, tell the story the right way. That's all I want to do. Tell the story the right way. I can give my thoughts and opinions, but I got to tell the story the right way as best as I can. Because that's what you all deserve, at least in my opinion. But if I don't think that is a good reason for why that the fight was delayed. For me, I think truly it was about waiting out Pacquiao for the right time, in my estimation. And so, but yeah, no, there was a lot of controversy. Floyd was making a lot of excuses. Stuff was going around left, right, and center, all throughout the ether in the boxing world. So yeah, it was something. We'll say that. It was something. It was something. What a time. I'll say that. And that's when I was just getting into more of a boxing integral part of being invested and really learning. So yeah, it was something. Good gosh, what a time. So yeah, but how happy are you about this? How are people happy about Shakur fighting Floyd and not Lamont fighting Tank? So on my thoughts about Lamont Roach and Tank Davis, and we'll volley into this comment. And again, I don't know why the comments are not showing up on the screen here like this one chat is. It irks me. I'm telling you, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure it out. But when it comes to Tank and Lamont, I hate the fight because Tank and Lamont is not a fight that should be fought now. Tank won at 130, was a champion at 130, moved out of 130, and wholeheartedly, anybody he fights at 130 now, he would knock out. This is not a Junto Nakatani situation where somebody, or a Ben Rodriguez situation, where somebody's on the come up and it is indeed seen as brother once he gets there. Or if he gets close to you, that fight needs to happen because he's comparable. Lamont Roach is not comparable from a talent perspective to Tank Davis. He's not in the slightest. There is no comparison between them. There just isn't. So this fight is a horrid fight. This fight, as I said before, further invalidates your ability to be a Hall of Famer in greatness. This fight shouldn't happen. This fight is not what the fans want to see. At this stage in your career, in your prime, you should be fighting the likes of Shakur Stevenson, or if they aren't available, go and fight and try to unify Undisputed. Get some belts and accolades that we know you can get, and then move up once you clean out the division. Plain and simple. You can, even if you went and fought, if he fought Richardson Hitchens, which I routinely said was a viable option, or if he fought Admiral Schofield, or if he fought even Abdullah Mason, any of those fights at 140 with Hitchens, or 140 with Poro, or 135 with Abdullah Mason or Schofield, any fight of that caliber would have been better than a fight with a 130-pound champion. And this is not disrespect to Lamont Roach, but Lamont Roach has been around the game for a hot minute. Lamont Roach has had one title defense in his run to become a champion. Lamont Roach lost, I believe, to Jamal Herring. Now, has he grown? Sure. But even still, what he has shown since that win hasn't been something that has shocked me to say, yeah, he should be in the ring and deserves this opportunity to fight somebody of Tank's caliber from a talent perspective. With what he has done, though he is a champion, Tank and his threshold should be 140 and or Undisputed at 135 and or Shakur Stevenson or bust. That's it. And so him not doing that is a clear problem that makes me hate the fight. There is you can go back. I had a short and a whole video on this. Tank's going to knock out Lamont Roach in probably less than 7 rounds. It's going to be a phenomenal knockout. It's going to be a great display of his power and his IQ and all that stuff. But it's not going to be something that we look at and say, yeah, that's great. That's a phenomenal win. My gosh, look at the greatness of Tank with this win over somebody who has been in a division that you yourself right now are leagues out of. Like, that doesn't help your case. That doesn't elevate anybody. That doesn't make anything special. All it does, it just makes a fight. You get paid, you move on. This is not disrespect to Lamont Roach, but we understand this. This is like if Inoue went back down to 180. This is like if Inoue fought somebody from 120 after already cleaning out 122. And he fought somebody who just became champion after a long trek to becoming a champion at 122. So like, potentially out of his prime, just now got a title, won the title, but didn't do it but didn't defend it in dominating fashion after he won it. And now you're going back down to 118 to fight him after you just cleaned out 118, 120, and 122. It's a preposterous thing. We would say, anyway, what the world are you doing? You are acting ignorant. You are fighting like a bum. That's what you're doing. That we would say that we don't, bum can be, anybody can be a bum. I don't care who you, anybody can be a bum. Regardless of what status you got, anybody can be a bum. Anybody can be a bum. It don't matter who respect the person, whether it's Inoue, Canelo, Tank, Usyk, Fury, don't matter who. You move the wrong way, that looks like a bump, you're a bump. In that respect. Even if you're not a terrible fighter, if you're not a bum of a fighter, you're a bum of a champion. Because if you don't move like a champion is supposed to move, we got to call it out. Especially if you're avoiding competition that you shouldn't be avoiding. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a bum mentality to go through for anybody across the board. And so that's why I hate the fight. I hate it. You can argue that Schofield ain't ready, that Abdullah Mason definitely ain't ready. Perfectly fine. But at least it would have been in the same division. At least it would have been two hot prospects that were on the up-and-coming tenure. Like with Canelo and Jaime Munguia, an up-and-coming star at 160, moved up to 168. It was, again, we all thought that he was going to lose. But it was like, okay, hey, it can be a good fight. A great young talent going up against an old lion. Let's see what happens. We perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. But this, nah, this ain't it. This is not that. This is not that. Again, it's not about them. Again, Chris, it's not about them being prospects. It's about relative to the talent that is in your same pool. Anybody at 130 or below, most likely, is on the same track as a prospect in your division. From a talent to talent perspective, relative to who you are versus where you're now fighting. Like, there's nothing Lamont Roach can do. At least you can say Abdullah Mason got some power. At least you can say he's got some smarts and the physical capabilities to give Tank something to think about. Schofield's got the strength and the athleticism and the explosiveness, so at least somewhat match what Tank brings to the table when it comes to his ability to be explosive in his own way. And if we're seeing Schofield get in the ring with Shakur, and Shakur is in the ring with somebody it wants to be in the ring, and we want Shakur to be in the ring with somebody like a Tank, then that should show you at least where Shakur is at this stage in his career. When we're all saying, hey, if Shakur and Schofield are a good fight to make, then it's not out the realm of question to say that Tank and Schofield, if that fight did get made, while it would be most likely a wash, it would still be a good fight to make. At least that's how I'm looking at it. Because comparison to comparison, they're at least in the same division, at minimum. Not a division that if you went through right now, you could probably fight 3 people in one night, like what George Foreman did on his comeback trial after his loss to Muhammad Ali, and knock them all out. Because they're 130 pounds. Like, no, it's not competitive. And it's like, even if he doesn't get credit because, oh, you beat prospects like Schofield and Abdullah Mason, it would at least be more credit than what he's going to get for beating Lamont Roach. There is nothing to gain from Lamont Roach in the slightest. Not one thing. Not a thing. If there was, we would be saying, if there was something to take from this fight that was positive, we would be saying, I would be saying, like I said when he fought against Frank Martin, a great fight that should have been made. That should have been a stepping stone. That was a great fight. That was a great opposition to go against. That brother, proven, tested, had power, had traits that will legitimately say, hey, he could do something with Tank potentially. He's got at least some qualities and was seen, in my opinion, as a top fighter in the division, though he wasn't a champion. No problem there. You didn't see me say anything except for, yo, this is a good fight. This is what I think is going to happen. This is how Tank can win. This is how Frank can win. I think Tank's going to win because of ... And then when he wins this, it's going to be a great notch in his belt. We'll look back on this as a quality win, and boom, Next up is Shakur or Loma or Tia. Point blank period. That's what I said about that fight. And I would have been saying that about this fight if this fight was of that same quality. But it's not. It's just not. It's frustrating. But it just isn't. And it would be like when, it's a crying shame. It's a crying shame. That's what it is. And it should be better. But it's not. But again, we got comments. Let's read this too. Cause guys, y'all are blowing through. Good, great day in the morning. I done lost where I'm at. Hold on there. I done shoot. Wait a minute. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. This is why you need moderators to help go through these types of chats and streams. This is great. But this can get confusing at times, but I love it. I love the interaction. This is what we want. This is the type of community that we're trying. This is the type of empire that we're trying to build right here on this channel. But let's see, Tank doesn't get credit, but Shakur wants more than he's worth. Loma pretty much retired. Haney at 140 makes sense. Haney at 140 makes sense, but tied up in litigation with Vio and Teofimo Lopez going through identity crisis. What else? Well, Tio right now I think is in talks. Devin Haney, we talked about Devin Haney. We've talked about that multiple times. We've talked about Devin Haney and why mentally that brother is going through some stuff. That brother's going through some things. T.O., we want to talk about losing himself. T.O. might have found himself with his training with Eddie Reynoso, which if you go back and watch the last show, we talked about how that pairing may be great for T.O. to make him even more dangerous as a fighter, potentially. Because I think Reynoso may accentuate the best parts of T.O. to be able to maximize his power while still keeping the slickness, but making that slickness a little more grounded, setting up a little more of the big shots that we know with T.O. can end fights and really make that damaging punching ability even more prevalent in his style, potentially. But I talked about it in the last show. But yeah, again, there's a lot of stuff going on with a lot of the division. It's absolutely true. But the point being, still there is stuff that can be made. Even right now, Devin Haney doesn't have a fight. He already got everything he wanted when it came to the ability to get the loss scrubbed, get the money, get more money, get money from Ryan Garcia missing weight also, getting Ryan Garcia banned, and now he's not in the ring. It would be a perfect time. It would be a perfect time. In fact, if I'm being perfectly honest, with the way Devin Haney's looking like right now, I wouldn't be crazy to say, why don't Tank fight him in light of fighting Lamont Welch? He goes and takes a fight with Devin Haney in January. With how Devin Haney's looking right now, it wouldn't be out the question to say, yeah, maybe Tank only needs a month or two to get prepped for him, beat him, and then boom, he'll be prepared for somebody like Lamont Roach, because Lamont Roach ain't even a Devin Haney level. It could be. Again, all that is that's an extreme circumstance of just, Devin Haney's looking bad. But all that is to say it's true. Devin Haney's looking bad right now. It wouldn't be any way out. It wouldn't be any way out the question. Nor it wouldn't be a not smart business decision. It'd be a very smart business decision to go and fight Devin Haney as quickly as possible. Because right now, this Devin Haney, you mop the floor with, and you'll get big money doing it. Absolutely. There won't be no Osterine potentially to be talked about. Because again, I said potentially because we don't know what happens. Anything could happen. We didn't think it was going to be Osterine or anything when it came to Ryan Garcia in this fight with Devin Haney. But hey, lo and behold. So barring anything happening, shoot. Anything can happen. But I would love to see that fight happen. And it makes all the sense in the world. At least for me. But yeah, Shakur does want more than he's worth. He absolutely does. Absolutely. And it's crazy because, he's still worth a lot. That's the thing. He's still worth a lot. And if he put in more work in terms of going in and fighting, I know he wants to fight more people. But if he went in and more so showed the full breadth of his talent, like we talked about earlier, his star power probably would be a little more elevated. And then he could afford to demand more as a star because his star would have been elevated to that actual degree to be worth those types of conversations. But dude to his ability to constantly go and do nothing or the bare minimum inside the ring. That's why we call him boring. That's why we don't want to see him fight. And that's why whatever cachet he's got, while his talent is indeed elite, the star power ain't matching up to it. Because even Floyd, when he was defensive, still showed the full breadth of his talent. Didn't seem like he was just doing just enough. Shakur seems like he's only doing just enough. And when you do just enough, we pick up on it. And more so than picking up on it, we call it out. And we don't support doing just enough. When we know your talent has the ability to do oh so much more. Oh, so much more. Let's see. Chris, well, how Floyd and Abdullah have no belts nor are champions. Fighting Floyd is why am I saying Admiral? Shoot, it's Floyd Schofield. Why the word am I saying Admiral Schofield? What is this? That's like a wrestler. Wait a minute. I'm calling him Admiral Schofield. Next thing you know, I'm going to start referring to him as Sergeant Slaughter. What's wrong with me? My gosh. Yeah, Floyd Schofield and Abdullah, no belts, ain't champions. Fighting Floyd is literally fighting backwards. Tank gave a top prospect a chance, which was Frank. Yes. Now, Frank was more of an established star than he wasn't as much of a prospect as was more of a seasoned savage star from what I gathered when he had fought Frank Martin or when Tank had fought Frank. Abdullah's only 22 years old. He isn't a champion. Understandable. But he's been fighting constantly. Again, Fight Buzz TV brought it up. What's a great career trajectory when it comes to fighting constantly? Well, when you're young, you want to fight as many times as possible. Slowly elevating your competition, but fighting as many times a year, like with the Mike Tyson formula, to get it so that, when you do get to those bigger fights, you're ready. And you are a prospect, but you are a seasoned prospect. Not a seasoned veteran like with Frank Martin, but a seasoned prospect who at 22 years old has had a bunch of experience, has been in the ring constantly, consistently pushing and elevating yourself. So now when you do reach this threshold of, hey, you're talked about in the realm of these other champions and other great fighters in your division, though you are not on that status, you are indeed on the radar. And when that fight gets made, it's a fight that, hey, you did earn it. And there is no problem with what you have done to earn this fight. And so with Floyd Schofield and with Shakur Stevenson, if Shakur can't fight Lomachenko because he's because he is out, and Tank isn't going to fight him, or the Tank with him and, speaking quickly, I'm talking, or the fight with Tank and Shakur has fallen through for whatever the reason may be, you go fight the next best competition. Right now, one of the best competitions available is a Floyd Schofield, who also has been calling you out. And fans have said they are interested in that fight. So it makes sense. From everything, it makes sense. Hey, it's a good fight to make. Hence why this fight's happening. So it's not fighting backwards. It's fighting on the proper linear path. You're on the right track. Now, if we saw Shakur going up and fighting against somebody that, again, is at 130 pounds, like with Tank, then we could say, he's fighting backwards, in my estimation. But for Schofield, this fight, nah. I don't think that. I think this is a good quality fight to make. This would be a main event. This would be as time went on, this main event will probably grow to be a really popular fight. It's getting talked about now, with everybody getting excited for it. Yeah, we want this fight to happen. When it was rumored, we were getting excited. When it actually happened, we got really excited. And now it's set in stone, happening as in essentially the third fight before Beterbiev versus Bivol. Oh, you better believe we excited now. Absolutely. So I think this is a great fight to make in my opinion. But let's see. We got Fight Bloods. It's not about the money. We don't need your money. We want to make the fight dance. Yeah. Forget about the price. And here's the thing. Don't forget about the price, because we want people to get paid. We do. We want people to get paid. But the price will come when quality is given. Usyk and Fury are about to make $190 million. Respectfully, that's going to be the purse. Reportedly, 190 million. Because that's a quality fight. And the first fight was even better. This rematch is about to make more money. Then it's about to be one of the most lucrative fights that we've seen in the heavyweight history. And that's because it's two people that we want to see fight against each other. When you fight, the fights that need to happen, the quality will lead to money. Legacy leads to money. I've said this multiple times. You achieve the legacy, the money will come. If you build it, they will come. For those who watch Field of Dreams, if you fight them, they will show up. If you fight them, they will watch. If you fight them, they will pay. That's what the prime example. And so, yeah, the fans don't care about the money. Fans will pay the money for quality. In terms of, we don't care about how much your price is. We care about the fight. Now, if you make a good fight, we'll pay the money. If you don't make a good fight, we won't pay the money. And we're going to be like, what are you doing? Give us something worth our while. Now, starting to see that happen more and more and more. It's still still a struggle, but it's happening more a little bit. But when it comes to the money, fans don't care about the money that you're negotiating. We care about the fight. We'll pay the money to make it worth your while if you go and make the fight happen. But the whole thing is you gotta make it happen. If you don't make it happen, there's a problem. There's a major problem. Let's see. And let's see, Chris. Oh gosh, shoot, I'm missing a lot of stuff. Let's see. Still on the Shakur thing. Because Shakur power got worse when he went up in weight, and now when he hurt his hand, it's gonna be a problem fighting Tank, T.O., and Ryan. And it's also gonna be a problem fighting Floyd Schofield. And that's what made this fight intriguing. Now with all this stuff going around, his defensive ability is indeed like it's there. He's one of the best technical boxers in the world. But now with him having injured hands, can't use his power like we saw or like we thought he was gonna have, even though he hurt Artem Arutunian and still didn't go for the finish. We're looking at the man and saying, hey, now, with all this stuff going around surrounding Shakur, injuries and all, this is going to be an even more intriguing fight because now there's even more danger. And with danger comes intrigue. And with intrigue comes legitimate wanting to watch an upset potentially happen. There's the fear of the unknown brings the intrigue of the impossible. And when that happens, everybody wants to tune in and see what the world's about to go down. So yeah, it's smart that this fight got made. Devin Haney stopped letting his dad talk about him. And yeah, we've said this before. Devin Haney and fathers, when they cash checks that their fighter and son has to cash, or when they write checks that their fighter and son has to cash, it can be a problem. It can. And it's something where have ultimate confidence. But the issue is when you do that, there's a situation where you yourself are going to, if they lose, you're setting yourself up for failure. Now people want to watch your son lose, not because of their son specifically, but because of you. LeVar Ball talking with his sons. People want to see the Ball brothers fail, all three of them, due to what LeVar was saying in the media. And I get it. You're hyping up your son. You want to put him in the best situation. Absolutely. But the problem is when you do that, you make a situation where they have to fear, they have to take the brunt of the problem. And when hate comes, they're not going to come for your dad. They're going to come for your son. You don't need to put yourself in that. In a way, and his father, perfectly fine. In a way, his dad talks about him, does what he needs to do. He'll say that he's great. He'll say that he's better. Absolutely. But then after that, he won't go and bloviate. He won't go and overly, he won't go over the top in making his fighter try to be better by messing up the image of another fighter. And then boom, now, in a way, he's hated. Everybody loves it in a way. Everybody loves his dad. And his dad still said that he's great. But his dad isn't going around the wrong way in hyping up his son. People like Devin Haney and others, they go about it the wrong way. And when they do, it sets themselves up for failure. Gordo Lopez and his son, not Gordo Lopez. Gordo Lopez is Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo Lopez and his dad, You saw the checks that his dad was trying to cash. Everybody was getting on him. Everybody was getting frustrated. Everybody was getting upset with that brother. Nobody liked T.O. because of his dad. And it was like, and we saw we saw the breaking that was going around with his dad and T.O. due to what his dad was saying and what was going on and how he was going about his career. It was a problem, so it can be bad. But if Bill doesn't stop talking, or rather change the way that he talks, it's gonna hurt us. It's gonna hurt Devin Haney. It is. It's gonna hurt Devin Haney because it's gonna hurt him. It's gonna make it seem. It's gonna make it now. If he loses again, let's say next time he gets knocked out clean and gets even more destroyed than he was against Ryan Garcia, but it's gonna be bad. But it's already, his image mentally inside of himself is already incredibly skewed due to what happened to Ryan Garcia. And now, with all the vitriol going around, the brother's changed for the worse. Oh, the hate's incredible. We ain't heard from that brother since. It's because, to a degree, the ire that he got was because of what his dad set himself up for. It's different when your fans do it, but not when it's even different when your trainer does it. But if your trainer is your father and your father is going about that, naturally people are going to want to hate. And when that hate builds up, if you don't fulfill the threshold that your dad set you up for, it's going to be dire consequences. It's going to be dire consequences indeed. Indeed. Oh gosh, we got lots of Warlock, brother, how you doing? Appreciate you joining in on the show. And again, we've been going back and forth in the chat talking about various different things. We're almost at 2 hours and 32 minutes. We gotta wrap this up. Let me go and start going through real quick the other comments that have been said. Let's see. We got oh boy. It's been just a cavalcade of stuff going on. We've been going through everything. Shoot, this is a lot. My gosh. He did it. Thoughts? We don't need money. Yeah. Okay. You don't think it's a good fight, Chris? I beg to differ, but either way, whatever the case may be, we still need to see Shakur elevate as time goes on. Frank was a great tune-up for Shakur Stevenson and T.O., but Frank wasn't on his level. Absolutely. Again, good fighter, in my opinion, great fighter. Wasn't on that elite threshold, but still meant that was the proper fight for where Tank was at that point in time, which I couldn't say with people like Hector Garcia. Since that was the case, now we got to see what should have been transcending into the realm of the equal playing field elite level. But he didn't do it. So it is what it is. Do you think Welch is the better opponent for Tank or Kid Austin is for Shakur? I think Kid Austin, Floyd Schofield, is a better opponent for Shakur than Lamont Roach is for Tank, in my estimation. And we just covered it with Shakur and Floyd Schofield and his athleticism, inside fighting, and we're going to break down the fight later on, don't get me wrong, but the athleticism and the legitimate explosiveness that can keep up with Shakur and his footwork, that's going to be the thing that makes a difference in this fight. And I think that's going to be what makes this a really intriguing affair. Coupled that with the fact that Shakur doesn't have power, especially with the brittle hands and all, leads to a new type of situation. We saw what happened when you got somebody who can crack and is athletic in De Los Santos. Now you get somebody in Floyd Schofield who's got the same or similar qualities, but is, in my opinion, smarter fighter who, and I won't give it away, but can do a certain thing that will make it so that Shakur can't use the ring. I think that's what makes that fight way more intriguing than the fight with Lamont Roach and Floyd Schofield. I don't think there's any relative competition that Lamont Roach brings to the table. Coming up for 130, I don't think that there's any, for me, in my estimation. Let's see. Eric, if I'm putting $40 million on the table, whoever wins between Tank and Shakur gets the bag, loser gets a percentage. Right? Perfectly fine. That's what could happen. I would love to see what his plan is to happen depending on the fight with Shakur and Floyd. And if honest, the winner of Shakur and Schofield should be next in line to fight Tank regardless. It should be. It should be. That's what needs to happen, point blank period. For me, winner of that, now you are in line to fight Tank. Plain and simple. That's what I would love to have happen. That's what I would want to happen. That would make a lot of sense. Your suggestion, absolutely. Let's see, Devin Haney's not fighting Tank at his first comeback fight. Absolutely. Neither should he. But, hey, it would be a great way to shut everybody up. You beat Tank. Or at least even if you lose, you put up a good fight with Tank. Hey, all of a sudden that PED saga that you were going through, that looks a little more validated, one. And two, if you beat him, hypothetically, well, my gosh. My goodness. Shoot. Maybe you are the best of the three. Who knows? You see what I'm saying? The point is, man, it doesn't need to be his first fight. Absolutely. It needs to be a tune-up. No doubt about it, especially now. But the point is, he's got to get in the ring in some capacity. Because like I said before, if Ryan Garcia's getting in the ring before Devin Haney's getting in the ring, in any sort of capacity, even if it's just an exhibition, that is a major problem. There's no reason that should be happening in the slightest. None whatsoever. And so Devin Haney needs to learn how to deal with he do. Learn how to deal with that brick hand, but he needs to learn how to deal, how to shoot. But he needs to learn a lot of stuff. Let's be perfectly honest. Mentally and physically. He needs to learn a bunch of stuff. He wants to be ready for a fight like Tank, or if anything, just to get back to the Devin Haney that we see as elite, one of the best in the world. He's got a lot of things that he needs to change. Trust and believe that. I see, because Shakur Powell got worse and moving weight, you heard his right hand, it's going to be a problem for, we read that. Let's see, Devin Haney needs to stop letting his dad, talked about that. Shakur versus Tank is a bad fight to me, just because it's a bad fight all around to me. Okay, the excitement of the fight would be very minimal. Not a lot of action comes out of that fight. And I think that's where the intrigue comes. It would not be an exciting fight for the majority. Absolutely. Tank normally fills opponents out before actually going for the kill, like we saw against Frank Martin, Hector Garcia, and others. Almost every fight. Absolutely. Shakur versus Tank would not be an exciting fight for the first 7 rounds. But the point is with Shakur, you're going to run. But when you got somebody that can stop you from running, now, what can you do? And that's where the excitement comes in. Shakur, you can't hurt him. You got to be able to outbox him. Tank is as good, if not a better boxer than you. At minimum, on par, at the least, is as equal to you as a boxer from a technical perspective. Now, if you cannot run from him, what are you going to do? Or are you going to get knocked out? Because that's what it boils down to. When Tank gets going fully and commits to now putting on damage rather than just filling you out like he normally does for the first couple rounds, what are you going to do? And that's where the excitement comes in. Will we see Shakur get knocked out? Or will his defensive ability make it so that Tank can't get to him? Like, you gotta understand, just because it's not a knockout don't mean it can't be an intriguing fight. Technically, it's going to be one of the best fights we have in this generation from a technical perspective. It will be. From an action perspective, maybe not. From a technical perspective, doing a bunch of small stuff, it will be. But the intrigue isn't going to be the fight. It's going to be when the gears shift and it's time for Shakur to actually take on the onslaught of Tank. What's he going to do? And that's where stuff really gets intriguing. Let's see. But why go backwards if you won the division and you move up on to the next? Yeah, absolutely right. Whether it's for Tank and others, why go backwards when you need to move up? That's exactly how I feel about it. Shakur has no offense. He's basically Floyd Mayweather Sr. And see, Floyd has, and we've talked about this in the past, Shakur, has a great offensive arsenal. He can fight in the pocket and stand with you. He did it against Oscar Valdez. He did it against Artem Arutunian. He did it against Yoshino. He's done it against multiple fighters. The problem is he doesn't do that consistently. Again, he only uses a specific amount of tools in his tool belt when he could be using so many more that we know he has access to. When he doesn't do that, we call him boring. If he did all the things that I know he can do as an offensive fighter while still being the elite defensive menace that he is, he would be great to watch and just to show what he can do. He's got the offense. He does. He's got a great offensive arsenal. The problem is he doesn't use it because he does the bare minimum. And when you do the bare minimum, you only need to do but so much. And when you do that, everybody sees you as cherry picking the skill sets that you use instead of utilizing everything to the fullest of their extent. And even when you do only use some parts of your game, you don't use them to the fullest of their extent either. So it's like in all accounts, you're selling yourself short for what you can do. And that's the problem. But Shakur's got a very deep bag and a very elite bag, both offensively and defensively. But the problem is, we've seen people like Floyd Mayweather do it. James Toney do it. Pernell Whitaker do it. We don't say that they're offensive. They are an offensive liability in the slightest. Even Roger Mayweather Sr. He had good offense, great offense. And all of them were indeed great. But the issue was they used everything. Shakur, because he doesn't use everything, his talent, what it should be seen as from a talent perspective, we all have questions about it because he's not doing or using what would make that real arsenal flourish and grow. And especially in the minds of boxing fans and viewers, would make that arsenal look really as deep as it actually is. But that's on him. Not our fault. That's on him. Because he can do more. And he can be a great offensive fighter. But if you don't do it, that's on you. That's on you. And yeah, let's see. I think Shakur, Trip G, I think Shakur need to fight Ryan and Devin Haney before we even remotely talk about him in the conversation with Tank. And I would agree. But because, I would agree to some extent. But because we know Shakur's stable at 135 and Tank, as he has said, even though what he's shown is contradictory, what he said was he's comfortable at 135. Then that's the only matchup to make if Lomachenko isn't there. Like, genuinely. If Tank doesn't fight anybody else at 135, then he needs to fight at 140. If Tank isn't fighting Loma or Shakur, he needs to fight at 140. If Shakur isn't looking to fight Tank, he needs to fight at 140. But at least Shakur is looking to fight Tank in some way or capacity. And he's right there at the division that Tank said he's comfortable with. So, in my opinion, all of that breeds a perfect whirlwind to say that fight needs to happen. Because everything literally lines up perfectly. Whether you agree that he's ready or not, you can't deny he's in that conversation. And that Shakur is one of the people Tank needs to beat on his trek to truly being a Hall of Famer. As we talked about earlier. But if you don't do it, the only thing we can say is, well, you are not achieving what you need to achieve. Especially when, if you had a choice between Lamont Roach and Shakur Stevenson as the fight to make, you're picking Shakur every time. And so of anybody outside of Lomachenko, Shakur is the fight to make. Whether you think he's ready or not from a talent perspective, he has reached, and deservedly so, reached that threshold of deserving to be in that conversation of he should fight Tank next. That's what I'm seeing, at least when I look at him. When I look at the grand scheme of things. Again, it's just my opinion. But again, I may take a second to say that, I take a second to say that you're good at what you do. John, keep up the grunt. You know what? I appreciate it, man. Look, I am just a humble dude. I'm just doing whatever I can. All I can do is what I can do. I'm attempting to be the best I can be. I want to do this for a living. I want to make it so we can get interviews, make conversations, have, again, First Take mixed with Pat McAfee show, mixed with a global affair. We can travel around the world, go from place to place, pop up at anybody's city, and just have a live show and be able to have fun and enjoy everybody. Oh, absolutely. That's what we want to do. But we're growing and we're getting there. And so I'm not perfect. I don't know everything. I genuinely am just telling you what I know. I learned from other people. I learned from, there's other YouTubers. There's other pundits. There's other just media people. Whether it's Showbiz the Adult, and old Burt Sugar, who used to fight, sadly passed away. Old interviews with other fighters themselves, Teddy Atlas. It's never about making, when I talk genuinely, and this can be Oh, real quick. Oh, no, never mind. I thought something was messing up. When I talk, it's not about me being right. I want to be right, sure, but it's not about me being right. It's not about me. Yeah, I'm the end all be all. My opinion matters, and if something happened, da 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 da. But it's about I want to be an oracle. The whole point is to have fun, laugh, engaged, learn, grow, legitimately make yourself better, both in your own personal life and just outright when you're viewing sports. Because at the end of the day, it's sports. I love it because we all love it. And so, because of that, we want to make the sports world the best that it can be. We want to make an environment to where the best of the sports world can be enjoyed by the best fans out there, which what we want to be is everybody. So you can have your debates, you can have your talks, you can have all that. But notice there's no level of ire or anger or vitriol. I'm not breaking somebody down to try to just say you a bum, you don't deserve to be this, that, or the third just because of a willy-nilly situation. We always say what you are now, what you can be, the steps that you take to achieving that. And as fans, we should call out certain things, or we should look at something a certain way in some respects to help give a proper perspective. Though you can make your own opinions. But the whole thing is to help elevate everybody. We want everybody to be seen as a viable option to watch in both boxing and beyond, in basketball or football or whatever the case may be, in sports in general. The mindset of just building somebody up to tear somebody else down, or having a favorite and everybody else around that favorite sucks. It's not what you need to have in the sport, in sports in general. Appreciate greatness. Tell the story right. And then when the story's told right, boom, we can judge greatness and debate as accordingly. And have genuine conversation. Have some fun. Get excited. Get mad, but not like a mad at you situation, but but more of a good frustration. Ah, man, I can't believe people don't agree with me, but I see what they're saying. I get it. I just don't think so. But in the whole, I can't wait to see what the next chapter is going to be. Keep on building up to it. That's what we're trying to make. A better fan. You all are already great fans. Anybody watching this show is a great fan. But everybody can learn. Everybody can improve, myself included. And so that's what we want to build. An environment to where you can have your opinions. You can have your thoughts. And you can learn. And then you can grow. And then you can debate. We don't need to tear anybody down because their opinions aren't what we feel. And I'm not the end all be all. I'm just simply here to state how I feel. But the grand scheme of things is what actually happens inside the ring, on the court, on the football field, and what that means for that person in the grand scheme of the sport to help it so that when we do have these conversations, now we can have them in their proper respect where everybody can have a proper footing to talk like you want to talk. That's all. That's all. That's what we're trying to build. Hey, Jeremiah, brother, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Appreciate you joining in on the show. Jeremiah Young, are you a Tank fan? Yeah, absolutely. I'm a Tank fan. I'm absolutely a Tank fan. Tank is one of my favorite fighters to watch. Tank is Canelo's favorite fighter to watch. Tank is a lot of people's favorite fighter to watch. He is a spectacle in the best way possible from a talent perspective. I love to see him fight. I just don't like that he doesn't do what his abilities are capable of. This is like if we saw Victor Wembanyama in the NBA shoot only threes and mid-range shots for the entirety of his career instead of getting down low and becoming a lob threat, a post-up menace, and a defensive monster. That we're already seeing half of that bode true with him being a defensive monster. And offensively, he's one of the most diverse athletes that we have in basketball history. His average upwards of 30-something for the past couple games, has been shooting lights out from three when he was struggling at one point in time. Chris Paul's helped elevate that brother and turn him into a real menace. If that brother gets on the inside and really punishes the paint, now we got a situation where who's stopping this man? That's what we want from Victor Wembanyama. playing up to your standard and achieving what we know you're capable of, fully realizing your potential. With Tank, he hasn't done that. I love Tank, and I want to see him make his money, achieve, and go out into the sunset as one of the greatest we've ever seen, with his family and personal life all intact, and with his mental state all well and good. Retire with the head held high and having the ability to be and enjoy the all-time great that you have become in the career that you have invested your life into. That's what we want for every boxer, every fighter. Never have to worry about life again when it comes to setting yourself up for success. But when you don't do that, now we have a situation where Tank just isn't where he needs to be. And he could be so much better, but he just won't make that possible because of his own actions. And if he does that, he can be so great. That's why these last 3 fights of his are so vital. It's so vital. It is so vital. It's so vital that it needs to happen with these last 3 fights. And hey, you just said, like, do you think Tank can beat Shakur and Devin Haney? Yes. Tank can beat, I'll give it to you right now. Tank can beat Teofimo Lopez. He can beat Shakur Stevenson. He could beat Devin Haney. He could beat Ryan Garcia at 140. He could beat Liam Poirot, Richardson Hitchens. He could beat Lomachenko. He could beat, again, like I said before, Shakur. He could beat all the way up to 140. Be undisputed. At 135, be undisputed. He could make his way up to 147 and, dare I say, compete with the likes of Terrence Crawford. If Terrence Crawford moved back down to 147 to fight him. 154, now we getting into ridiculous territory. Now we're getting into Roberto Duran, Pacquiao level territory. If he moves up that far and still wins, brother, that's what, incredible. But that's what his ability has the potential to achieve. Absolutely. He could beat both of them. He could beat them all. He could legitimately beat them all. Or if he lost, he could go back and win. But the problem is he just won't. The problem is he just hasn't. And that's why these last 3 fights are so vital. If he goes and faces off against Lamont Roach and then Tio and then Shakur, or even tries to call out Lomachenko, whatever the case may be, he's got to make these fights happen, because if he doesn't, there's a problem. There's a problem. That's why it's so vital to see if he beats Lamont Roach, who he's going to call out. Who is he going to face? Who's going to be the man? Because he hasn't done this before. Who's going to be the man that he puts to the ether? I want you. We've been waiting for this all this time. Consistently waiting to see where the call out's going to come. Now it's time. Now it's time. It's literally now or never. Literally now or never. And Trip G, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Jeremiah, let me tell you something right now.
Hey, look at us. We got some problems here. We got some problems here.
There is no way that Tank is going to fight Jake Paul. There is no way Jake Paul is going to fight an active, tenured fighter. Jake Paul just got, and I hate Jake Paul as a boxer. As a person, I got problems with him too. But as a boxer, I despise him. Jake Paul just got offered, if you were not aware, Jake Paul got offered after beating a 58-year-old Mike Tyson that still made him miss more than any other fight in his career, as well as was able to get to him and win round 1 when Jake Paul was literally running from him. That Jake Paul genuinely is not going to fight somebody that has any remote talent. He fought, Artur Beterbiev offered him a shot at his title. He didn't take it. Daniel Dubois offered him a shot at his title, genuinely, and he didn't take it. The very thing he said he was going to be, wanted to be a champion. Well, you fight at heavyweight. Dubois just gave you a fight. Dubois just beat AJ. The biggest thing you wanted was clout in a big-time venture to make a whole bunch of money. You had the opportunity twice, and you didn't take it. He's not. Jake Paul is a circus. Jake Paul is a villain that wants to just fight to be able to get people to hate him. He will dash the icons of the sport. And he couldn't even knock out Mike Tyson, who could not use his legs. genuinely could not use the lower half of his body. And still Tyson was able to go 8 rounds with the brother. And he didn't want to engage with him because he knew the power was still there. And the only thing that kept Mike Tyson from beating Jake Paul was genuinely he could not use his legs like he could in the Roy Jones Jr. fight. If he could move like he moved in the Roy Jones Jr. fight, Jake Paul is dead. And I say that with a straight face. Because if you watch the Roy Jones Jr. fight, that Mike Tyson at 54 versus this Mike Tyson at 58 are 2 different people. They're 2 different people. They're 2 different entities entirely. When you watch them fight, it's completely different. And this Mike Tyson, from a physical standpoint, how he looked muscle-wise, was in better shape than that Mike Tyson. Was more chiseled, was more built, was more buff, was better physically in this fight than that fight. But this fight was genuinely with Mike Tyson. The age caught up with him, and he could not do anything because his legs would not work at all. You saw the muscle memory. You saw the slipping and head movement. You saw the stuff that he wasn't doing in his last fight when he actually called it quits, when he just literally gave up. This time he was actually pre-slipping, pre-moving, had his block up all the time, was genuinely making openings and wanted to capitalize, but couldn't pull the trigger because 1, he was out of range and didn't want to risk getting hit because of his age, and 2, the brother legitimately just didn't have the coordination because the lower half of his body wouldn't let him do the necessary movement to make the landing counter shot actually happen. But he was still eating shots from Jake Paul. He was still not getting hurt from Jake Paul, even though Jake Paul was landing flush on Tyson later in the fight when he actually got tired. So there's no way, none whatsoever, that it should be that he would lose. If it was back then. So because of that, there's no way he's fighting Tank. He's not fighting anybody that isn't Canelo. If it's not Canelo, he's not fighting him. Now, if we see Tank call out Jake Paul, my gosh. My goodness. Horrible. And terrible. I know. See, Jeremiah, this ain't, also, real quick, Kingdom Within. Brother, appreciate you joining in. How you doing? Glad that you joining the show. Glad that you here. We getting ready to wrap it up because we're going on 3 hours. This might be my longest, straight up stream. Not calling a fight, but straight up stream. This has been great. It's been phenomenal. And Jeremiah, normally we talk about a lot more. We talk about Tank. We talk about other fights. We've talked about Big Bang Jang. We've talked about Big Bang Jang. We talked about Caballero. We talked about Terrence Crawford. We talked about, again, Shakur versus other prospects, Tank versus other prospects. We go through the gambit. We talk about Inoue. Right now, the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in my estimation. The brother is an outright dog, separate amongst the rest. We go through fantasy fights. We go through old history. We go through new history. Prospects up and coming. Potential issues going on behind the scenes. Just straight up, we talk about it all here. Or as much as we can. As much as I keep myself informed in. And then we learn and we grow. And then we also talk about basketball. We talk about football. We talk about, it's a whatever. We are a hub of sports. That's what we be. Oh, yes, indeed. We are a hub for just about whatever you would like to discuss. If I don't know it, I'll tell you I don't know. I can't give you an opinion right now. But on the whole, we're trying to make this a big thing. And so, hey, we here. We here and we live. So this is, I guess, the end of the show. But perfectly honest, we got what? 2 minutes left. We're going up on 3 hours. I can't believe this. But we got 5 minutes. I can give y'all the floor. Whatever y'all want to talk about, let's have a conversation on. And we'll do essentially rapid fire questions. This is supposed to be earlier on, but we got so tied up in all the other conversations. But oh yeah, we good and we ready. So let's get it started, shall we? In the final segment of the show, it's time for the championship rounds. Oh yes, indeed. Let's get it started. What y'all want to talk about in anything involving sports as a whole. Let's see what you got. Who's my favorite football team? Well, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. We suck. I know. We just had a heartbreaking loss last Sunday when we just had ourselves a win. And next thing you know, Chuba Hubbard gets a turnover and a fumble. And he's one of the best running backs in the league, ruining at that point in time. Bryce Young's best game to date irked my soul. So I'm hurting. I'm hurting bad. So yeah, I'm an NFL fan. I love the Carolina Panthers. Hey, brother, but we are in dire straits. Trust and believe. Dang it, I missed the days of 2015 when Cam Newton and we had Smash and Daz. We had Tolbert. We had D'Angelo Williams. We had Jonathan Stewart. We had it all. Oh, how times have just hurt me so much. Let's see. Trip G. John Jones for a quick second. John Jones is arguably the greatest MMA fighter in history. However, the brother is ruining is hurting what his legacy is right now, because he's doing the very thing that he wasn't doing this before. But he is, there's no reason that he's not fighting somebody like a Tom Aspinall when he should be in the ring with somebody that would, after that, he can retire. But now, as reigning champion, as the legitimate UFC, and by legitimate, I mean Aspinall's the interim champion. John Jones won the lineal champion in the heavyweight division, then went, just dominated Miocic, and now is still playing the waiting around game. The buddy will come if you just make the fight. But at this point, if he doesn't fight, and if he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall, strip him. At this point, strip him. Strip him and make him the best that he can be. Make Tom Aspinall the rightful full champion. At that point, stop holding up the division. Because if I don't want to see him fight Alex Pereira, because he's going to beat Alex Pereira. Though that would be a mega fight to look at. But no, he's going to beat him. He's going to grapple him, ground and pound him, get him on. He's not going to waste time trying to strike with Alex Pereira. He's going to get him on the ground. He's going to look to either strike him on the inside, one of the best clinch strikers that the UFC has seen, and when he gets him in the grapple game. He's one of the best grapplers that we've seen in light heavyweight history and just in UFC history. Was able to go toe-to-toe with Daniel Cormier twice, grappling him and beating him. No. He's destroying Alex Pereira. And then can he beat Tom Aspinall? Absolutely. But the brother's got to do it, though. Because if he doesn't, wasting all of our time. Wasting our time. And I hate it. I despise it. Despise it with all my heart and soul. Yep. See? I was waiting for this. Fight Buzz. Yep. My 3 favorite fights. Oh, yes, indeed. Here we go. My 3 favorite fights that I've had. And I've been thinking about this. So, it is still boding true. It's actually 2. Ali Frazier 1 is probably my number 1 favorite. Ali Frazier 3 is my 2nd favorite. And then most likely, my 3rd fight is going to be surprising. It's going to be Inoue versus Nonito Donaire. And that fight of the year. I think those 3 are my favorite fights personally. Frazier and Ali, because Frazier was my favorite fighter and they just were perfect for each other. Frazier is my favorite fighter, of all time. But they were perfect for each other. In the grit, determination, and the heart, and the fact that they both could not get up, or the fact that they fought so hard that in the 3rd fight, Frazier could not get up, and Frazier never quits. But his body literally would not let him go. It was just like you couldn't write that in a movie. You couldn't. It was incredible. Those 2 fights are my favorite. And then Inoue versus Nonito Donaire, the first one, is my 3rd favorite fight. Because that fight is one of the biggest things that was a coming out party to what I feel is going to be one of the greatest boxers in history. There's few times in your life where you get to witness somebody make one of the biggest steps into reaching all time, and by all time, I mean all time status. Michael Jordan with the 63-point game versus the Boston Celtics, even though they got swept. Genuinely. LeBron with his 25-point, when he scored 25 straight on the defending champion Detroit Pistons early in his career in Cleveland. There's few, Dirk Nowitzki winning a title. There's few times you get to witness the shift in a person's career that is the telltale sign they're going to be great. That was one of them. And I witnessed it firsthand. And it was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I just saw the birth of what may potentially be one of the greatest I've seen in history. Genuine. And because of that, it's forever going to be my favorite. Because he had everything. He faced adversity. He was forced to adapt. Nonito Donaire, as a 40-year-old, was turned back the clock to his prime. And it was like, shoot, man. Just the context on top of the fight itself, one of the greatest I've seen. And purely, it's one of the best fights that I got to witness. It was just phenomenal. It was just phenomenal. Oh my gosh, it was phenomenal. It was just stupendous, man. Absolutely incredible. Those are my 3 favorite fights of all. Now, it could change, most likely. The more I think about it, I kept going back and forth to multiple things. But most likely, yeah, that's my biggest thing. That's my biggest fight. How far do you think the Steelers can go in the playoffs? Well, again, Mike Tomlin is yet again will never have a losing season in his career. And the Steelers as a whole in the playoffs, they ain't making the Super Bowl. But I can see them. In fact, let me see who's in their division. Let me real quick. Let me go see what's going on in the division of the Steelers. I ain't got this in front of me. Sadly, I need to be sure I give y'all the. Let's see. I can see them most likely. Hold on, wait a minute. Stuff's running slow. Hold on. Don't leave. We still got time. I'm still answer y'all question. Let me answer y'all question. I got them. Most likely, shoot. I think they'll they'll make the playoffs. I think they'll get knocked out. Now, do I think that at best, they can get to the conference championship. At best. Again, right now, 9-3, phenomenal. Their record is incredible. As a whole, the team, again, it's Mike Tomlin. I have nothing to say bad because it's a Mike Tomlin well-oiled machine. But in terms of what I can see them doing in the division, specifically in the AFC, telling you, they'll make it. They will make it comfortably. But once it comes time to get there, don't they might, if they face off against the Lions and or the Eagles, it might be a bad day. It might. I'm not saying it will. I'm saying it might. Also, real quick, have the Ravens shocked you all? Real quick, wanted to ask that. Have the Ravens shocked you in this year? Because it looked like they were on a tear, and all of a sudden I picked them to win Super Bowl. But now, shoot, talk about a real concerning situation. I'm thinking, my gosh, 8-5 when they looked like they were going to be one of the better offenses in the league, just got trounced by the Eagles, who again are looking on a tear right now, 10-2 on the year. Saquon Barkley being phenomenal for the team. It's like, shoot, man, my gosh, maybe the Eagles, maybe the horse that we need to look at as saying they may get to the Super Bowl. And they may get it over the Chiefs who are having a miracle run at this point in time, which is incredible. Phenomenal. But it's preposterous that they're being successful. But again, I can see them I can see them at best, Steelers making a miracle run to the conference championship. But most likely, they'll make the playoffs comfortably. But you may not like it. I might see them getting bounced in their first game. If you think I'm bad, I get it. I feel you. If you're a Steelers fan, I'm sorry. I know a couple Steelers fans. Y'all organization is great. I just don't think. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. If it's a best case scenario, y'all get to the conference finals and conference championship and lose. But most likely, I think y'all might get bounced. I'm thinking you might get bounced in the first round of the NFL playoffs. In my estimation, I could be wrong. Again, I could be wrong. Everything NFL's so unpredictable. Yeah, who knows? But hey, that's what I got. That's just how I see it. But again, what's that? We got questions. Okay, yeah. Favorite fight, Steelers. Superstars on the Panthers. Let him all this. Yep, I'm telling you, I miss it. I miss it. Hey, glad. Oh, hey, Fight Buzz. Hey, just up to you. Absolutely. See now, people, we helping each other out. That's what we like to see. That's what we like to see. Daryl, brother, you're late. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're here right on time. We get ready to end the show. Been here 3 hours. Still got strong. Very strong. Good guys. We got 10 people. At one point, I had 14. We've had about 6 or 7 ever since we've been on live. This is phenomenal. This is a growing community. Yo, let's see. Hey, John, did you see Inoue's training recently? He's been looking really good. Him and his father trained his strengths and weaknesses thoroughly. I haven't gotten to see I've seen maybe a 5-second clip of his training. Didn't get to watch it all the way through. More so because I was kind of busy at that point in time trying to get some stuff situated through a week, trying to get some stuff moving. But nah, I'm gonna take a look back at it. But I have no concern over Inoue in his what's the word? Not production, preparation. But he's always on tech. He's always on tech. And see, Fight Buzz, see, when you come on this show, everybody eats. Now you got people subbing to your channel. You are making your own way in your own lane. Absolutely. Now, y'all don't leave me for him now. Let's all build together. Don't be stealing my subscribers now. You see me, Fight Buzz. I'm kidding. I'm just being funny. But hey, look, it's what we do. Want to help into a community where everybody can grow and learn. And genuinely. And so, yeah, and Fight Buzz, hey, but it's phenomenal. Go subscribe to this button. Again, I would pull you up on the thing if I can get it on the screen. I don't know why. But even still, Fight Buzz TV. Go subscribe to the button. Show him love. Show him support. Help him grow his channel. Absolutely. But it's phenomenal. He knows what he's talking about. And he's got an ear to the boxing game. Trust me. You're going to want to hear what he's got to say. And so, absolutely. And so, let's see, we got, see, this is great. It's from Dirk's title, absolutely one of the greatest titles we've had in sports history. This is a situation where, Tom Brady winning a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers was amazing as well. Absolutely. Bengals, Browns, Steelers, and Ravens. Bengals underachieving severely. Bengals are, my gosh. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, though, yes, we know Burrow's been injured, but as a whole, Ocho Cinco ain't crying on stream for nothing. Brother, everything ain't all right. Everything ain't going to be all right when it comes to that team. When it comes to that squad. They got some retooling to do. Might be an organizational situation. Because they just got to a Super Bowl not too long ago. And all of a sudden now, they're in a situation where they look like a shell of what they were. Of what they should have been. I don't know what's going on in the Bengals organization. Genuinely. It's a shocking thing. Bengals win the AFC North. Yeah, I can see that. Bengals right now they can win the AFC North. I just don't think they're going to make it far in the playoffs, my opinion. But I will say, Trip G, you brought up a good point. Russell Westbrook has been all of a sudden shutting up a lot of people. Russell Westbrook, when he was on Denver, looked like a bum. And even in his early years in the Steelers organization, was looking terrible, was looking washed and horrible. My gosh. But this season, brother, he's turned it around. But we ain't heard from him because we ain't heard anything about him because he's been playing great. There's nothing to critique about Russell Wilson. He's looking back to his Seattle-esque type form. He's one of the biggest reasons why the Steelers are 9-3 at the top of the AFC North and looking to legitimately make a deep run in the playoffs. Regardless of what I or others may think. This redemption is at hand, and it is here in the world of Russell Wilson. My gosh. I tell you, it's incredible. We were just having a situation of whether or not who was going to start for who when it came to Russell Wilson and who was it? Who was the quarterback that they got? That also they picked up with Russell Wilson. It was like a quarterback war. The name eludes me at the moment. But now, hey, there's no questions anymore. No questions at all. And so, why are you a Carolina Panthers fan? I'm from North Carolina. Covered it earlier, Jeremiah. I'm from Carolina. That's right. From North Kakalaki. And we here, and I've been a fan ever since. They were the first team I got to see on TV. And they just blew up from there. And ironically enough, most of my family, Cowboys fans. Ooh-wee. Talk about a rift in the household. I am the odd man out. Oh, yeah. I'm the black sheep of the family. Oh, yeah. And I proudly wear that with pride. Yeah. Bump all y'all. Forget your Cowboys. Yeah. Well, I can't say that too loud. I got people around me. They may just come and bust down the door. Who knows? I gotta keep it quiet around here. But you get what I'm saying. I've been a Carolina Panthers fan from North Carolina, excuse me. And yeah, I've been a fan ever since. So it's a diehard thing. And Eric, Cowboys fan, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just want to say my condolences. My condolences to Cowboys fan. My goodness. Y'all have been, it's been issue after issue after issue. Dak Prescott injury. Van Der Esch, done. Zach Martin, maybe his last year. And Jerry Jones ain't doing nothing to help you all's case as being seen as a quality organization. Every time you look like you're great, you just falter. And I keep thinking, and I'm not one of those people that hate on the Cowboys. I genuinely keep thinking you all are in the running to make a legitimate push. And then it just falls apart. I don't know why. I think once Jerry Jones gets through as an owner, you get somebody to make some different moves, I think you'll get it. Because you can't waste Micah Parsons in his career. You can't waste the CeeDee Lamb. You can't. Can't waste Amari Cooper. You can't waste all this stuff. You got to have some level of consistency. And it can happen. But I think it starts with ownership. I can't get started with ownership. You can't renovate it. We're not going anywhere. So that's cool, but I definitely don't see Philly winning. Okay, you don't see Philly winning. I can understand. I can understand not seeing. I'm saying right now they look like they're on a tear, and Saquon Barkley's making them look incredible. Maybe I wasn't saying that they were gonna have that aspirations of a title before. Now with Saquon though, offense is looking so deadly. But perfectly honest, it's gonna be. You say it's gonna be Detroit or the Vikings. I hope it's Detroit. The chaos that would ensue if Detroit got to a Super Bowl. Oh my gosh. If Detroit got to a Super Bowl, it would be incredible. It'll be phenomenal. Let's see. Fight Buzz. Let's see. Hey, bro, can you tell us what kind of equipment that you got going on? Well, let's see. What kind of equipment do I got? Well, I got a regular computer. I got I think I'm perfectly honest. I think I got this mic from Wish, and it works out perfectly fine. So hey, if you can get a mic, you can get this essentially this whole kit here, stand, the mic and all, you can get from Wish.com. Now I was on a budget. I'll be perfectly fine. Be perfectly honest. But hey, it's been working out flawlessly. You're suited up and you make it, and you take some time to work with it, but you can make it right. And then equipment wise, Rodecaster, pretty hefty penny. People that want to stream and do podcasts and stuff, but one of the most popular things you can buy, one of the most reliable things you can buy, Rodecaster Pro, as a essentially soundboard. You use that, control multiple mics, got different buttons you can use for different sounds, as this or this or this. Or this, or anything. You can. It's all great, and so all that's kind of what I'm using. And then like OBS. If those who don't know, OBS is a streaming platform, streaming software. Download it on your computer. Relatively simple to use, but incredibly deep in terms of what you can customize it with. I'm still learning new stuff every day, but that's what I'm using. OBS, sound, mic and stand from Wish, and then Rodecaster Pro. Now, I will say, for anybody who does streaming, if you can, invest in a thick mic cord. If you don't have one. Reason being, what I had to learn, static sometimes can get through on just any regular type of sound cord when you plug it in. And by that I mean essentially barring out excess noise and talent and static that may transpire when you're just working and moving from equipment and electronics and otherwise. The cord itself can sometimes pick it up and vibrate to the mic. So get yourself a very good, sturdy microphone cable to connect to your microphone. And then you'll be set and ready. Won't have the issue no more. But that's what I'm using. Rodecaster Pro, OBS for software. And what do you got? What do you have? What's it called? Windows or Apple or Mac. They got one for each of them. So you can use it. You can find it, customize it yourself. And then, yeah. After that, you're off and on your way. Hopefully that helps you on your own journey, if you so choose, to go do your own thing. Absolutely. And so we still got comments all galore. Let's see. We got to bump through this quickly. We're almost at 3:30. When the Cowboys signed Ezekiel Elliott, I knew he was going to be, yeah. When they went backwards to an Elliott that didn't look nowhere close to what he used to be after already having Tony Pollard as their main running back, who was indeed phenomenal. I think he got injured, but even still, it was like, oh boy, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad, bad, bad indeed. Cowboys need, Jeremiah, you're absolutely right. Cowboys need a new owner. Get that out the way. Now you get a situation where Cowboys, they're one of the richest franchise in sports. Regardless of whether players may like them or hate them, players will want to play for them. They are a marquee market. They're like New York. New York, with James Dolan as their owner, was a cesspool because nobody wanted to be in the organization, but everybody wanted to be part of the team because it was New York City, the Mecca. Cowboys are the Mecca of the NFL, a staple. Whether or not you agree with them or not, they are indeed a Mecca for this spot, a Mecca for this whole sport. But the issue is, internally, there's so many struggles. You get those struggles out the way, now you can work and operate as you need to. Now you can really make yourself great. Now when management and ownership shifts for the better, everybody want to flock to you. And you can get a culture that will cultivate winning. That's what needs to happen. That's what needs to change. That's what needs to change. Yeah, and you think they're getting 7. We're going to see. We're going to see the Steelers actually make it happen. Or if not, if Steelers win against the Chiefs Christmas Day, people going to, yeah, tell you something. I won't be saying anything. Because let's be perfectly honest. Steelers, if the Steelers can make it happen, we may have to have a conversation. Because if we're being frank, Carolina almost beat the Chiefs. And somehow, some way, they eked out a win. The Raiders had the Chiefs dead to rights. One fumble at the end of the game in any situation when that normally does not happen. Just when it did happen, to steal the game for the Chiefs, it's like something's going on in the stadium of Arrowhead. Brother, they doing something that I don't want to be a part of. Because I guarantee you right now, brother, it is whatever voodoo, hoodoo, black magic, some level of incantation, brother. It's I don't know what's happening. And we said last year this was the worst Chiefs team that the NFL has seen in this dynasty era, and they still won a title. This year, it's the worst they've ever been in this dynasty. I don't know how they get lower than this year, and they still are almost undefeated. They still are on the cusp of another title. If they've already clinched the playoff spot, like, what the world? That's literally all you can say. What the world? When will this reign end? And I love Patrick Mahomes. I love watching the Chiefs play. It's great watching them work. But it's just they shouldn't be good. But they are. And it makes no sense in the slightest. Oh, you said if. Okay, Jeremiah, if. My bad. If the Steelers win, people will believe. Yep, you're absolutely right. If they win, yeah, they'll believe it. And I might buy into it. Again, my new pick now is Detroit. I hope they win. But if the Steelers somehow beat the Chiefs on Christmas Day, and they keep their games great up until Christmas Day. I don't think they have a bye week. They might, if they keep their games great up until Christmas Day, and they beat them, you might see me go off the wall. Hey, black and yellow, hello, we're here. We here, we live, we about to be, we will come on, terrible towel. We gonna make it happen. Oh boy! But let's see, Eric Black, Steelers are gonna wash Green Bay in a statement game, and Green Bay won't make it past the first round because Minnesota will be in the way. I can see that. I can respect that. Again, Detroit right now is on an absolute tear. Didn't it beat somebody 54-0, 54-6, something like that? Was any team that won 54 to whatever? If it was, my gosh, insane. But yeah, I think they're going to steamroll. It could be close. I could be wrong. But you might be right, Eric. They put steamroll them. Get them out the way. Because they are looking at a team that can't be stopped, can't be beaten, and is ready to conquer the world. And if they do, it couldn't happen to a better team and a better city. I'm being completely honest. But with all that being said, I think that about wraps it up. I think we're good. I think we're here. This is last ditch effort 30 seconds. What's the thing? 30 seconds, ain't that what they do in boxing? Or 10 seconds rather? 10 seconds? The 10-second bell? Anybody else got anything they want to say about the show? Anything they want to say about a topic? I got one question I'm willing to answer again. And then we wrapping this up. But genuinely, I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope y'all enjoy what we had going on. This has been our longest stream to date. My gosh, 3 hours, 25 minutes. We had people coming in left, right, and center. New people, old people, established people. This was, I genuinely, it does my heart good to see. We growing, we flourishing, we vibing, absolutely. And we're working to make moves, working to make this show bigger and better. Trying to do this, want to make some, want to be able to invest back and make this the best it can be. And who knows? Further down the line, maybe we can try to get some guests, get some stuff, all this stuff going on. And this is good. I think this was great. But let's see, do you go live doing football games? Well, so no, I don't go live doing football. Normally I go live in terms of live commentary with boxing specifically. That's been my bread and butter. The show as a whole, we go live with fights and we go live with reactions on certain occasions. We can't do that with everything because let's be frank. We're working on a budget. We're working on a budget. We can't stream every fight because like I would want to. But what we can stream with boxing, we do stream. Normally, it's the bigger fights that really got people talking and people genuinely are, all around excited about. But every live show, we go and we break down all the news going on in boxing, NFL, and NBA. Majority boxing and NBA with some NFL sprinkled in if it gets brought up and we have time. That's what we normally do. But again, we're a hub. And so we do as much as we can when we can. And yeah, I think we're going to have to do it. I think we're going to have to do the Tank and Roach live stream. There's too much going around. There's too much that we've been talking about that we can't overlook it. We got to make it happen. That's at least one of them that we're going to definitely make happen. And so any future ones, we'll tell you, we'll let you know. Just like I did with the Jake Paul fight, just like I did with the Inouye fight, which we're going to stream Inouye. Inouye is a staple here. We got to stream Inouye versus Sam Goodman on Christmas Eve. Oh, yes, indeed. It's going to be a phenomenal show then. But we're going to have a lot coming down the pipe. Just and believe. But thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for listening. March can't come no quicker. February can't come soon enough. December can't, December's here already. We got so much to talk about, and we're going to cover it all as time goes on. But with that being said, oh yes indeed, this has been another episode of The Welch Report with me, Jean-Luc Welch. This has been a phenomenal show. This has been a great stream as a whole. Thank you all for tuning in on this show. Tank wins in round 9. Jeremiah, if you're right, we'll hold you to it. I'll give you my predictions and breakdown of the fight as the fight draws closer on. We don't want to spoil too much too soon, if you get what I'm saying. But we will cover more fights. We will cover more events. We'll cover more news in the NBA, in boxing, and so much more for your viewing and listening pleasure. And we come here every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 o'clock every single week to break down what goes on in the sports ethos and in the sports world. But with all that being said, I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Thank you for tuning in and spending time with me. You can find us on podcasts and every podcasting platform. Peace and love. We are out of here. Oh, yeah.